Welcome to SerialPodcastNine. Welcome to SerialPodcastNine.
How you doing, Gerard? You okay?
Gerard's not feeling too good today, you know? You get back from vacation, you're all on like a different time zone. The traveling fucks you up, you know?
It's 11:40 Costa Rica time right now, and
You love not sleeping though. That was
you're a night owl.
I mean, I don't know, man. On vacation, I just fucking want to go to sleep early. I don't have as much shit to think about. I just turn my brain off, and I just like wanted to sleep all the time, super early, and like because I had to get up pretty early every day. Like the baby gets up every day. Like the birds are chirping at 5 a.m. Like you're up.
Yeah,
so
you're basically getting up.
I'm sleeping at like 9:30, 10. I stayed up a couple times till like 1 or 2, but like, man, it was like long days. We're just doing shit all day. I saw all of them, man. Toucans.
Did it take you to Fruit Loops? Did you follow your nose?
No.
Oh, we haven't spoken such a long time. I feel like you forget what things are like. I'm very excited to do this. All right, let's do the intro. Yeah.
I'm Gerard DiPeralta.
And I'm Kevin Peterson.
And I'm Ryan Benoit, and this is Serial Podcast 9, episode 61. I think this will be like our holiday special.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll come out
Merry Christmas and happy holidays, people.
Whatever you're into, whatever you're celebrating, I hope it's good to you.
Well, thank you for celebrating with us, you know?
Yeah. We got a special gift this week too, which is very exciting. We got a guest.
Yes.
Who wants to do the intro of the guest?
I guess I'll do the intro.
Yeah, you
Kevin does intro.
Kevin does intro. Insert here. Hello. This guy. His name is Quinn. He is a speed hero. I don't know everything about you. I know some things about you. I know you're born in Ontario. You now reside on the island. You have taught drifting and are a huge part of bringing people to the drifting community. You have been many places on the planet and drifted. Yeah. You're a bit of a drifting nomad.
Yes.
You're a drifting drifter, you know?
Yes. It's drifting squared.
Drifting squared. Okay.
Yeah.
Like D squared.
That basically sums up most of it. That's to be fair.
All right. Well, we can just end it here then.
Okay. We're done.
All right.
Perfect. Great.
Yeah.
Quinn said he's starting a timer at the minute we start for 2 hours. Mid-sentence, he's done. 2 hours.
Yeah. Done. That's it. It's over. It's cut.
I love the efficiency. All right. Great. First, Quinn, I stood next to you at the last day of drifting at Western and didn't introduce myself. Oh. And for the last little bit, I felt like a real shithead because I was like, oh, that was Quinn. And I did not say, hello, Quinn from Speed Hero. Nice to meet you. I was taking photos and you were flagging, I believe.
Yes.
And I don't drive, as I always say, but Kevin does. And Kevin said, oh, yeah, he flags. He's the best flagger possibly of all time. So I thought that was really really interesting. Also, I feel like there's a lot of overlap. We've never formally met, but I feel like we have a lot of friends in common. So I'm excited to find out more about you. I believe we have Paul Harrison in common.
Yes, Paul's an Islander now. We stole him.
Okay, good. I think he might be my friend, but I don't know. I never know what that guy's actually talking about. And Alex from Rare Spec. I'm very excited to talk about wheels with you. But
okay,
yes.
Maybe I'm an Alex fan. I'm a big Alex fan.
Designer of wheels.
Oh, I didn't say we're Alex fans. No,
we just know him.
Yeah. He's just my friend. I'm not like a fan of that. Anyway, no. All right. I want to know Speed Hero. When did that start? And what is it? Explain it to people that don't know what it is.
It's nothing. It's literally nothing. It's an ongoing joke. It started in 2008. We were making fun of Japanese drift team names. A friend of mine wanted to name his team like Team R or something in regards to like Type R, and it was really terrible. And I came up with Speed Hero as the ultimate like generic Japanese drift team name. There was things like Sonic Boom and all those sort of like abstract names. And so I tried to pick as many of the similar things and put it together, and then it just accidentally stuck.
It's so perfect though. It's such a good name.
It is.
Thanks.
Great name.
Yeah. Hell yeah. First blog post is in 2008, so I consider that the start.
Oof.
Yeah.
So I like that is a bit. If you have
When
an
did
ongoing bit.
Ryan's blog start?
I don't even remember. 2000 and no, I'd have to do the math.
No worries.
I'll think about it. Yeah, who
No
cares?
worries.
It doesn't
Sorry,
matter.
I'm
This
putting you
isn't
on the
about me.
I'm putting you on the spot. I was just curious.
This isn't about me.
I'm trying to formulate a timeline in my head,
Oh yeah. It's not a competition, Kevin. We're all friends here.
I'm
hopefully.
You can't win in drifting.
You can't win in blogging.
That's right. No, that is very true. All right, but I like your commitment to the bit. So you're like, it's a joke that's been going on for like 14 years.
Something ridiculous.
Yeah. It's good. That's a good. I love a ongoing bit. So that's cool.
I continually have a fetish for the old English like poems, like the
Vomex.
Yeah, all of that. It was
Arrival.
Like I started making fun of that, making fun of that back then, and then eventually it became popular, and now it's considered cringe to do, and I'm still going to keep doing it.
Give us some of your English poems. English poems.
Let's try our best. Like something like the Iron Ghost Mountain runs wild nighttime. Like just it's sort of a sentence. It's a little bit of it to get like of an idea.
Yeah, like you'd see it on a Delica.
Yeah.
Or on some wheels.
Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of them. You could there was tons of parts and catalogs, and especially jackets and clothing would have like the fast runner begins earlier than the beat, and you're like, what? Like just trash like that. And
those are all so good. Yeah. Like,
yeah, they are.
What I mean?
They're
like,
really good.
Yeah. Like I want, now I want to buy a Walkman.
So I still have a strong fetish for that, infinitely so.
I got an Amazon ad for a Walkman recently. Like it was like
a Walkman?
Yeah, like an Instagram Amazon ad. It was like a Walkman.
Like for tapes or for CDs?
For tapes.
That's not surprising to me, though.
How do you even get tapes anymore?
I mean, I have some tapes still.
There's
Why
a
it's
huge
not
fetish.
surprising.
How do you have tapes?
There's like a massive.
I don't know. It's like I don't know, hilarious purple rain tape that's like purple, and I just like never threw it away. And like I don't know, like yeah, I don't know. Just have some tape still. Like
you got a lot of space, I guess. All my tapes are gone because I was like, nah, I don't have room for that. Whatever.
Because you're a futurist.
Dude, you have all the room in the world.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
You got a crawl space. You got like
you got a garage.
Yeah, but then I gotta put it down there and like fucking care about it. And then like in 10 years, I'll be like, oh, there's that tape that like I never gave a shit about 10 years ago, but I kept it. So now I have this fucking tape with nothing to play it on. And I'm not gonna go buy anything to play it on. I had a lot of nostalgic shit like that when I was like not 45 years old. And then I was like,
I bet,
you know what? Fuck it. I don't need this shit. You know what I mean? I have all my option and like VIP style and all that shit right there. That's all I need is that.
You have your own section of the ancient texts.
Yeah, exactly.
The scrolls.
That's kind of what they've become. I was kind of mad today. I was trying to find a very specific clip, and I realized that there's no library for any of that. You can't just go. So it still feels like 2001 going through like Kazaa
trying to find it. Yeah,
it's the same. It hasn't changed. It's all random clips that are like weirdly labeled or half cut.
I almost feel like it was better then because like eventually you would just have them on your computer and then you could name the clip or you could put it into folders and then you had it and you knew exactly where to find it. But now it's like, you got to like try and find it. And if it's on YouTube, that's fine because like you can like it, you can like put it you can like save it or whatever it is. You can like bookmark the link. You can do all sorts of things. But if it's on Instagram or some stupid other shit, like you're never finding it.
Instagram is absolutely fucked for searching. It's like at least they could do like combo hashtags or something. It's like you can only search one hashtag at a time. It's like you're gonna search like I don't know, like Laurel. What are you gonna search like slammed Laurel? You can't search like 15-inch Laurel or like small wheel Laurel. It's got to be Laurel, and then you go through like millions of Laurel hashtags. It's like, it's just
And
not
to be fair, you're gonna have to go through a lot of the Laurel and Hardy.
Anything to do with Laurel.
A bunch of trees, a bunch of women named Laurel.
Exactly.
Like
5% of all Laurel is going to be the car.
Like,
one of my cats is named Laurel.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Great.
Specifically about Laurels, the C34 Laurel is so underappreciated. It is an ugly duckling. It looks awful stock, and as soon as you lower it and put it on wheels, it's amazing.
It's pretty sick, but my heart is with the 35 for sure.
35 guy.
35, yeah. I've always loved 35s. They just look.
I feel like if I'm gonna have a Laurel, it would be like the really old one.
The 33?
No, like the.
Yeah, I mean that's.
Well, then I would still just have the 33. Like.
Yeah, it's like
I gotta have the
to
old
35.
square, like just rattly boxed Laurel,
Yeah, windows don't actually close ever.
Yeah, don't really work. Like everything.
The door's made of tin.
Yeah,
might as well have window winders with like a little electric motor attached to it.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
All right, Quinn, what brought you to cars and drifting? How did you discover it? How did you get into it? And why did you stay?
I shouldn't stay. It's a waste of time and money. That's a big thing. But I was really young.
We all know that here, but
I was
tell
just
people out there.
Yeah. I was really, really young.
Sorry, what was the question? I missed it.
Good.
I mean, you just asked it, and I was like, not there.
It was for Quinn, but
I know.
You'll probably figure it out, Gerard. And
okay.
What brought?
Let's do a recap.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, Ryan,
last week on Serial Podcast.
Read the question from the beginning.
Yeah. All right.
Jody would say.
Yeah. Read it from the beginning. Put more emphasis in it. Hey, Quinn, what brought you to drifting? What kept you in drifting? Why? What is it? What is it about it? When did you get into it? Why'd you stay? That's what I want to know.
I was a team sport kid. I played a lot of team sports. And then when I got to be in my young teens, I found BMX, and I realized that I don't need to have the team sport to do the fun stuff. And I was still kind of very interested in cars when I was young, and the BMX sort of led into drifting, because drifting was really attainable. I've always been very frugal, and so drifting was neat because you couldn't pay to win in drifting. You had to actually be really good at it. And so I could kind of try to participate in cars, but I was a fairly level playing field, especially in early 2000s when having 70 horsepower was almost competitive. So drifting was attractive because I could have a sort of I could have fun with cars, and I didn't have to have the most money to be sort of hang out with everybody.
Right. Cool.
Yeah.
What kept you around then? So most of us said, for people on this call, hit a certain age, realize that maybe it's not the best financial decision, and then part ways with it. And it's just a feather in your cap. What kept you in the scene? I think there was people who wanted to have, I call them big watch people. They're people that wear huge watches. And you have a cell phone in your pocket. You don't need a big watch to tell the time. So the big watch is to show off. There's a lot of people that have that big watch lifestyle that get into cars and they just want to look good. It's not about the car. It's not about the driving. It's about the lifestyle image. Where for myself, it was the inverse. I enjoy the car. I enjoy the process of interacting with it and changing it and seeing how that affects what I'm doing. And so I'm still interested in doing more projects with them. I don't really know how to answer this question, but it was never about what people perceive of me, if that makes sense. So yeah, that makes perfect sense. I get it. That's great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I had a follow-up question.
I want a G-Shock. I've never had a G-Shock. Honestly, I remember having watches when I was 13. And then, I kind of agree. Once cell phones came out, I was like, all right, well,
You don't
Now
want
I
the
can do-
Iron Man?
Now it's 2-in-1. Now it's like 3-in-1. You know. Now I have a camera and a phone and a calendar, and you know, it's like
Yeah.
Kevin does have an Apple Watch though.
I do have an Apple Watch though. Yeah, you got me.
You don't
there,
want I believe Gerard wants a Rolly.
man. A Rolex.
Rolex. Come on.
No.
There's I think I have a cat. You can go to Walmart, you can buy the Casio calculator watch. They've reissued it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing. It's like, well, that is only a calculator, you know. If I'm gonna have a watch, why wouldn't it, you know, do everything and be a calculator?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think if I had a fancy watch, I'd have to have like so much money that like I couldn't even figure out what else to buy except for like this ridiculous. I mean, I do appreciate like crazy watches.
I think though, like maybe
But-
if you weren't into cars, like you could
man,
easily
like, 'cause-
have watch money. You know what I mean?
No, because watch money's like $50K. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you can get like a
Can be.
$3,000
It
watch.
could be, but yeah,
a
exactly.
$10,000
Yeah,
watch. But
exactly.
then it's
You could
like,
have a $10,000 watch.
but have you seen like the 50K like crazy? There's a recent one they did. Who even made that one, man? Because I do follow like a couple like watch.
You know, I obviously don't know anything about a watch that costs anything more than
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
when they don't
$10.
publish the price, you know, the shit is like 150 grand or something stupid like that. And it's like,
Yeah.
I'd have to have so much goddamn money that like, it's like, oh, today I'm going to spend 150K on a watch. It's like,
But I mean, like, is that not like buying a Ferrari but it's
no,
smaller?
a
You could have
Ferrari
10.
fucking does something. A watch does nothing besides fucking
tells
show
the
off how much
time.
money you have.
Yeah, but I mean,
think
if
both
you're
of
buying
those
it for an
do the same
investment
thing.
and you're buying it for an investment and you use the Ferrari, you know what I mean? Like, you could at least wear the watch and you're not like using it, you know? Like,
No, you are using it because you wear it. And like, where are you going to wear a $150,000 watch?
I don't know, man.
It's like
Where
you're
are you
going to
gonna
get
drive a
fucking
Ferrari?
scratched. Like, obviously, we're just going to fuck up this watch working on our cars. And then
Yeah,
it's
right.
like,
You
don't
I just
work
like
on a
threw
car if
70
you have
grand in the garbage
$150,000
because I like
watch.
scratched it on my suspension. Like,
Dude, there's
If you
The
have
secret is
$150,000
wear the watch over top of the ankle bracelet. So commit a crime, get the ankle bracelet, then
Yeah.
cover it up with some bling.
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
exactly. Well, there you go. With a bejazzled ankle bracelet.
I got a buddy who's into watches, and so it's interesting watching.
Yeah, but he isn't into
watching that.
$50,000 watches, is he?
Is he into cars as well?
He's probably into like
No,
$3,000
no.
watches.
Was he into cars?
No, oh,
Yeah, this
Gerard.
guy's a peasant.
No,
Ryan, this guy that
guy
I've
is-
never met before.
Yeah,
Like, he's not even on the same level of watches that I'm into.
yeah. He's into watches and like, but he tracks the pricing of watches. So he'll be like, yeah, maybe that was a $3,000 watch, Gerard, but now it's a $7,000 watch because
That's
it went
cool.
up in price. And then like, if we meet someone, he can tell you how well off they are by how expensive their watch is.
There
just
you
by
go.
looking
So
at
he
it.
is into
Yeah.
all watches.
Yeah. He's
Okay.
yeah. So there you go. I would argue watch guys
He's a watch
probably
watcher.
yeah, he's a watcher. I would argue watch guys probably how we feel about watches, they feel about Ferraris some of the time. If you were to like, if there is no Venn diagram that overlaps them, because it's like, I can wear a watch anywhere. Where am I going to drive my Ferrari all the time anywhere? You know, like
I would
man.
think there's a fairly big overlap of watch guys. And
I mean,
I
it's
would
like you can
imagine-
flex
yeah,
your
yeah,
watch anyway,
yeah,
so
yeah.
I guess that's true.
Heck, some of the fancy
You
cars
gotta, like,
come
throw
with
your-
the watch.
you got to
That's
throw your
true.
wrist out the
That's true.
window, you know?
Yeah. You can't be
Exactly.
fucking have your Casio calculator outside the window, which
You could've been
now
driving
brings
up
me
to-
to my
What
next.
am I doing?
Wait.
You could.
What does the Casio calculator pair with? If like a really fancy like Rolex.
I was
pairs
about
with
to
the-
tell
The
you.
DeLorean. Yeah,
Because we're gonna
okay.
segue. No, it's not the DeLorean.
it's fully the
It's
DeLorean.
this is
I
how
have
we
one. I
fully
have
get
one.
it. Oh, I'm gonna say it's a Corolla because you brought it up, and I'm pretty sure are you a Corolla guy?
No.
No, what are
Yeah.
you?
A G-Shock
Yeah.
goes with a fucking FRS.
We didn't say G-Shock.
Okay. Yeah.
What did you? Oh,
The Casio calculator.
Calculator.
I have exactly the car it goes with.
Yeah.
The
All right.
the Casio calculator watch goes with, if you ever watched
X7.
Cannonball Run, the
I've definitely watched
Mitsubishi.
Cannonball.
It's Styrian?
There's
No,
a
it wasn't a
Styrian,
Styrian. We always thought it was
There-
a Styrian, but in
there's
Cannonball Run, it was
Cordia, Mitsubishi Cordia, with
I
all
want to
the
say it was a
electronics
fucking
inside.
Subaru, man, Because like I always thought
Okay.
it was a cool Mitsubishi too, but when I researched that Cannonball, I'm like, that was such a cool car when I was a kid. And then I found out it was like some lame Subaru, and I was like, no, that doesn't seem right.
There's two films. One of them is a Mitsubishi Cordia. The
Okay,
other
well,
one
that's
is
cool
a
then.
Subaru Chaser.
Yeah, maybe that was the
There's a
one. That,
Subaru Chaser.
There's a
That's
Chaser.
upsetting.
yeah,
They're
it's
very
like a
front-wheel
little
drive.
shitty old two-door hatchbacky thing.
That's hilarious.
Imagine what is it? The Loyale? No. Pre-Loyale, but they cut the back off and made it a hatch.
Oh, that's another
Yeah.
super interesting thing about you. You love a really, really obscure cars, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, the
So
weirder
you
the
do-
better.
So you just know like every car ever?
Many, but not all.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do we even ask questions about that? What's the most obscure car that you know? No.
No,
Okay. No.
Wait. I got one. So as far as like TE, I don't know the like model, but like there's the like 78 to 84 Toyota Corollas.
Yep.
And there's the cool one that's like, it's like two-door, but it has like the half window and it's like a hatchback, but it's like, you know how normally there's like the main window and then there's the triangle window, which becomes the hatchback. But this one has like,
I swear there were 8 different variations.
yeah, but
of
it's the
that
main
car.
one that has like the half
There were
window
8
and
different
then
ones.
that one's the sickest.
Okay.
What is that
Um,
one called?
For those of you listening later at this, you can Google the Speed Hero E7 Love. I've written an entire article on all the different body styles, specifically of the E7.
Yeah.
But you're talking about there are coupe, or sorry, there are sedan body styles and sport body styles. So the two of the sport body styles, you're either talking about the coupe or the liftback. There
I
was a
think it might have
hard
been
top as
called
well.
the liftback.
Liftback is like a two-door wagon with little.
No.
Okay. The coupe is what a lot of people call the fastback, but it's actually called the coupe, but from Toyota. And that's got the little tiny sliver of an extra window by the B
Yeah,
pillar.
That's the one.
That is
one's
the
sick.
Toyota E7 coupe. Yeah.
Okay.
But not to be confused with the two-door E7 sedan, which is not a coupe.
Yes,
It's
which is a
two-door sedan.
normal. It's a
Yeah.
notch back. Like, yeah, my buddy had that one too. The wheel fell off on Petula Bridge
Okay.
because he had used front wheel drive offset, and then it didn't clear the strut, so he used washers to space out the wheel, and it had
no.
like 2 threads on it. And he drove, he's driving it on the Petula Bridge, and then sure enough, the wheel fell off, and that was good. Then there's this one too, which is
That's
I don't
the
know.
hard top.
yeah, that one's sick too. I always like the
That-
weird
How many
two-door ones.
Corollas have you had, Quinn?
I think 28 or
you-
29 at this point. I can't remember.
That's
Yeah.
a hefty amount.
Yeah, I've had about 74 cars in total.
That's
Roughly,
also
approximately.
That's also a hefty amount.
That
It's
that is a hefty.
I have
What
lost
was your
count.
favorite one?
My favorite one was my banana wagon, which was the 12A swapped Corolla wagon.
Yeah, rotary Corolla.
Yeah, I've had 3 rotary Corollas at this point.
Nice.
What chassis code was the 72 Crown?
70 Oh, 72
Because
Crown.
I had a 72 Crown. It was a trunk model, 2-door, but there was a couple of them because whenever I search it now, I'm like, that's not the one I had. And then apparently the one I had was maybe like kind of weird.
Crowns are S code, I believe, but I can't remember. That's like an MS 110 or something like that.
I think you're, yeah.
Something around there, but I'm not. My crown is not super in there. But yeah.
Yeah.
I like that this episode will just turn into Gerard using Quinn as Google.
No,
Yeah,
fine, you can do that.
I can just Google it right now. But I was
What's the one?
My
And then
phone
he's like,
goes
"What
off
was this?"
all day,
Yeah.
every day, like nonstop about car questions people send me. I do not get paid for it. It's probably ringing right now as I'm, and I don't mind it. So if you do have questions, I'll try to direct. But yeah,
like,
Quinn, what do you do for a living?
nothing right now. I'm absolutely broke. It's amazing. Please buy
I like-
T-shirts off my website. Yeah.
Okay.
I did.
So-
I did.
Please buy more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
They're very limited.
Yes. Thanks to everybody who did buy T-shirts recently. I've sort of hucking that pretty aggressively.
Good.
Yeah.
I did spend a lot of time on your website today, and I really enjoyed
God.
it.
Oh
Yeah,
God.
it looks great. I
Need to
like
update the
your
blog.
design style.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Hey, I got another one on the T-shirt. You got the Canadian flag with the Japan,
Yeah.
circle in the middle. Did you
Japan,
coin
I
that? Is that you?
That is I design as much as I can of my own stuff. That is my design. Yeah.
Oh, good. I always wondered because then it like shows like who did the Japanada, and if that's you, congratulations.
There has
Top
been at
tier
least
work right
one
there.
copy of it so far. Actually, I was in Walmart the other day.
You would
And
think that there's a prevalent amount of copies.
There's not too many people. I there was a fake Speed Hero. That's a whole separate story. But I was in Walmart the
I'm
other
here
day,
for it.
and a gentleman saw the Japanada like flag, and he comes up and he's got a big grin on his face, and he's like kind of like biting his laugh, like he's like, hey, you know, what about that? And I was like, what do you mean, what about that? You know, like our relations with China right now. I was like, oh man, we gotta have a talk. Like, yeah. It was cringy. Yeah.
I want to hear about a fake Speed Hero. What happened there?
Okay. I don't Twitter. I don't have Twitter. And randomly I was like, I wonder if anybody's talked about me on Twitter. So I was looking through it and I found this speedhero.co and I was like, oh, who's this? And so I went to his website and he was selling Speed Hero shirts. And if you bought a shirt, you could be in the raffle to win an NSX. And I was like, oh, weird. So I messaged the guy and he basically messaged me back saying, lol, you don't own the .com. I don't care. And so I shared it with a friend, a guy named Joel Pino, and he did a little digging and found that the speedhero.co did not
exist.
Well, they didn't own the NSX.
They didn't own anything. Yeah.
They were selling the shirts in hopes to purchase the NSX to give to a winner. And so when we found that, we emailed back this guy and he basically killed the site and I've never heard from him again. So I sort of caught him being sneaky and it was annoying. It was extra annoying because I spent 16 hours writing an email up to him.
16 hours?
Yeah. There's a blog post on my blog about it. It's called The Email That Was Never Sent. And I was going to appeal to his heart where Joel, who was in the background doing other stuff, just found a legal loophole to scare the guy. And then I never got to send the email. So
the dirt. You go for the dirt first.
Yeah.
First and foremost, the dirt.
Yeah.
I like to be nice about it. Be like, hey, you know, like I've had this name for a while. Like maybe you can think of something different. But
yeah, I mean, honestly, I get sponsored ads for after hours supply. That's not the after hours supply from Kelowna.
It's a different
like
after
they make like hentai inspired shirts and sweatshirts and stuff. And I sent it to him and he was just like, oh, I know, I've messaged them and they're just like, yeah, fuck you, basically. Like
yeah,
the key is to make a really dumb name so
like
nobody
a stupid
ever
name
wants
that
it.
no one would ever want it.
Like put a dumb animal name in front of like a sense of like thinking about things, like a way to approach it. So an extinct animal, and then just like a way of reasoning, and then nobody ever wants that.
So like toucan dummy.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, toucan critical thinking is what I was thinking.
No, there was a
toucans aren't extinct.
We gotta get
yeah. Not yet.
Not yet. We're calling macaw then.
That's the purpose of his trip, you know.
Yeah,
he's over there shooting toucans left, right, and center, running them over.
Yeah.
We did go to a macaw breeding center where they actually, it was pretty interesting. So in Costa Rica, they were down.
Did you watch birds fuck?
Almost zero. No, you're not allowed to associate with the breeding facility. We only got to see the two birds that were like released, and that they feed.
Likely to breed, so the two ugliest.
What? No.
Well, I don't know. What
anyways, whatever. They were down to basically zero, and then through like efforts of dedicated people and basically changing the laws and stuff, there are thousands of them now, which is pretty cool because those birds are fucking huge and crazy. Like macaws, like the big parrots, like they're pretty crazy, man. Like I'm not like a huge bird guy, but like seeing those birds in person is pretty wild. There's all sorts of fucked up birds in Costa Rica, man. Like vultures just walking around, vultures just walking around like this, like free hugs, like huge fucking vultures walking around like, what's up? Like, what the fuck's up? Like walking around just like everywhere. It's crazy. Anyways, yeah.
All right. I've missed you very much, Gerard, in your randomness. You turned it
Anyways.
into like a PSA about birds, which I thought was really nice.
Oh, you were talking about extinct toucans and shit, and there was almost extinct birds, and we went to the place where they kept them from, or they saved them from extinction. So that was kind of cool, and our kids liked it. So,
oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Hey, Quinn, browsing your website, it says here you did a podcast.
that's why he has that setup.
Oh, I did.
Yeah,
I did one a long time ago. Yes,
Yeah,
just one episode. Yeah,
We did a podcast.
He
No,
did
you
one.
didn't tell people. You didn't tell people you were going to do 6 and it just never stopped. That's
Yeah.
a ticket.
Yeah.
That's why you got the setup. I was like, wow, Quinn's got a really nice setup. He's like,
I've done some streaming. Yeah,
Oh,
I streamed some
What do you
video
stream?
games, mostly just video game and me naked.
What do you
Well,
play?
he's got a Patreon, so I mean, that's how he pays the bills. So like, you can see it.
So he
streams
doesn't
right
have
to,
a job.
You can see it
Yeah.
streams right to the bed.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, here you go. Yeah.
And like the background is so that you can see the outline of everything.
Yes. Yeah. There's no. You can wear a bunch of different colors. There's a high contrast. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. That's good. Great.
I mostly play old racing games. I like old racing games.
Nice.
That checks out for everything we've covered so far.
What's your
what
favorite
brought-
old racing game?
Ooh, it's a DOS game. It's called NIRA Drag Racing. It was
Oh, a Naira drag racing game?
yeah. It was a variation off of another drag racing game. Anyways, there was this old software called Engine Dyno 2000. It was like this like XP software for simulating engine building.
Yeah, it's literally like you just type in numbers.
I remember that one,
Yeah.
Because you
So
could
they
buy it
built-
on like a little like a little calculator type thing.
Yeah,
And
you could even put in like how big your like bucket and shim is and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But they built a racing game around that, like a drag racing simulation. And I love it. I covet it. I have a hard drive that's specifically saved with that. I had to find a Korean hacked version of DOSBox to make it work because regular DOSBox doesn't work for it and all. I love that game. Yeah. You can build single cylinders, like a 7-liter single cylinder, and see what it does. You can build a 1 liter V12 and try to like, and it's fairly accurate for a 2000s DOS game. So, yeah,
That sounds
cool.
pretty amazing.
I can go off for hours about like weird sim racing stuff, but that's yeah.
No, I assume you're
uh,
responsible for the Assetto Corso Western Speedway track.
I am not responsible for that. No. However, if you play BeamNG, there is a version that I made for that. So I scanned Western Speedway. We did a photogrammetry and laser scan of it a year or two ago. I rented some DSLR cameras. We took 18,000 photos, and then the local college, Camosun, lent us a laser scanner. And we went and scanned the track. So I did make a version for BeamNG because I actually hate Assetto Corsa. So
how do you scan a track?
there's
you just told us. Sorry, go on.
You take 18,000 photos.
No, but
And then
with
you
the laser
scan it
scanner,
with a
what is
laser.
the laser scanner like?
yeah. So the
Like-
laser is placed in a single location, and then it
Oh.
scans around itself and measures the distance of objects away. Then you move it a certain amount and scan again. The laser scanning took us about 2 days, and then the photos took us about 4 or 5 hours of just walking and taking photos. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So there's a half finished version for BeamNG that is accurate within 2,000th of an inch or something like that.
What's BeamNG?
BeamNG is a racing physics sim that is actually programmed by one of the drifters here on the island.
Wow.
And so it's my personal favorite, both that it's not shitty like Assetto Corsa, and there's going to be a bunch of drifters that are mad at me for that. I really like Beam. So
All right, I'm going to pretend like I'm mad that you said that about.
Yeah, be angry.
I'm not.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I can't believe you shit talk. Yeah, I can't believe you shit talk that game. I've never played and have only seen on Instagram.
There's definitely somebody who's going to be mad about it, but I'm very adamant.
I mean,
yeah.
I love it.
SerialNine famously had to get Marvin to run it for you guys when you were in the final bet one, right?
Yeah,
Isn't that what
Marvin's like really good at it.
So they're like Marvin drives, Gerard and Kevin are the mouth.
I've
I guess.
never
I don't
I've
know.
never played a sim once.
Yeah. Okay.
I played it at
What?
Marvin's house.
Yo, I played Ferrari like 355 challenge where you had to use the clutch in the arcade game.
Ooh,
Hell yeah.
That was a
That's the
good game.
closest. That's the closest to a sim I've ever done.
Yeah,
That was
I'm
a
really good
good-ass
at
game.
Mario Kart 64. All right. Why do
Yo,
you
man,
hate
double tap that Z and like do the drift.
skirt?
Yeah.
Why do you hate Assetto Corsa? Which
It's tough. It's tough to like summarize it, but ultimately it's a very broken game that a lot of people have put tons of effort and time into unbreak. And so the base game that you sort of put all these mods into isn't really any
Very
good.
good.
Yeah. Yeah. And so although the mods make it good, the actual base is no good. Yeah.
that seems like almost an analogy for a lot of people's cars, though, doesn't it? Like
That's
a lot
fair.
of people that probably like same thing. It's like I put a lot of time and energy
Into a
into my
Blit.
car. Yeah.
nothing
Into
wrong
a
with a Blit.
Cressida.
Yeah.
Could have bought a watch and just hung it out the window.
Could have
People
bought a
would've-
fucking M3,
Yeah.
you know? Could have bought
Yeah.
something that just it does the thing you're trying to do from stock, you know?
So, when did you move to BC?
I lived in Ontario and I started drifting there. And at the time, drifting was kind of illegal in the sense of even going onto the track. What they would do is they would fine the track for running such a noisy event. And so there was almost no events at the time in the early 2000s. Yeah. Often they would sit outside of the track. And as soon as you drove off the track, you'd get a vehicle inspection. It like literally out the driveway. So a friend of mine was moving out here and it looked attractive. And I saw a road on a map. I saw Munns Road, MUNNS.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got to go drive that road. So we moved out here. Yeah.
Wow.
To drive the road.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
That's
That's
right.
crazy.
How old were you when you did this?
This is 2010. So however old I was then.
I like the not giving out personal details. That's great. All we do is make up ages for.
You
how
can have
old
my
Gerard
address.
is.
I just hate my age. Yeah.
I don't like my age either. I'm not okay with how old
I can give you
I
the
am.
door code. You can get in my house if you'd like.
All right. So let's
Ryan,
just
every
say-
time Ryan asks me my age, I look at my watch.
Can I,
I'm
can,
like,
I add, can I add some random Gerardness to this right now?
Yeah, that's what we're here for. And
Are
Okay,
you
so-
looking at cars that are for sale?
So, yo, Mark X Vertiga. You ever heard of that?
Mark X Vertiga.
It's a
No.
Vertiga. It's kind of fucking sick, man. So, different
Vertiga?
steering wheel, different interior, different front bumper. It's got badging, Vertiga, whatever. But like, it's kind of sick. Like, and they're not expensive.
Hell yeah.
It's got like a totally different front bumper, Kevin. Because you know how like there's the Mark X's and they have arrow and they like look pretty good. This one has like basically like the, you know how in the Aristos there's like that not the VA 300 that Eric used to have with the weird front bumper.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have a lip. It's like an entirely new bumper. Yeah, this is basically that. It's kind of sick. And the interior's all black. And
So,
it has
yeah,
a,
you are just looking at cars that are for sale.
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he's on trade car review. Yeah.
Here's what I actually want. I always wanted a podcast where Gerard and Kevin argued with each other. Now I want a sitcom where Quinn and Gerard live together, but just talk about like super
Weird-ass
obscure, like weird ass cars
Yeah.
and the minute differences between each of the cars. And like, yeah. It's like just
I definitely am into like a little bit weird cars. So, yeah.
Well, the
But
Mark
not-
X
maybe not.
The Mark
Go
X will
on.
be popular eventually, I think. And the benefit of living in Canada is you get 10 years to develop
Yeah.
products before it goes to the US.
The only problem with the Mark X though is it never came with a good engine. It only comes with the 3-liter max. It doesn't come with the 2GR until like 2009 or whatever.
I'm
So,
still
like-
stuck on 1GFE. That's the greatest motor ever made. And I know that's insane to say, but I would pick a 1GFE over a Beams any day.
A Beam's like
A
Like
3SG.
3S?
Yeah. Yeah. I would murder for a 1GFE.
I mean, I threw it in the garbage.
Oh my
I
God.
was gonna say.
Oh my God. Next time, please. So to give you context to why I like them, I was teaching drifting in the UK and
Yeah.
over there, they have IS 200s.
Yeah, exactly.
And those are $25 cars. Like we were literally sitting like eating somewhere, and this guy walked up to us like, "Hey, you want to buy my?" Like I got one in my backyard. So there was 25 of them at the school. They're all 1GFEs.
Mm-hmm.
And those cars would start in the morning at 8 a.m. with no oil or like coolant. They would sit on limiter with a student who knows, like some of the students show up and they don't know how to drive manual. So they just sit on like until 8 p.m. at night, and they get turned off, and that's it. And they would do that all day, every day. So I love the 1GFE. You're only getting 150 horse, but you're getting 150 horse forever.
Yeah, I know.
Man,
I had it in my Blit, and I was like, "This is the worst engine ever."
If you're listening,
I thought you
anybody
said, like,
listening,
yo, this
please
is, like,
send me your
bad.
1GFEs. Sorry.
No, I thought Gerard, when he had it, you were like, "Yo, this actually isn't even that bad." Like,
No, I mean, like maybe in like a Corolla, it would be cool, but like not in a normal size car. Like literally that engine in my car, exactly like you said, it was at least 80% throttle, 90% of the time. Because it was just, and it was obviously automatic. So it's just so fucking slow, 150 horse and maybe 150 pound-feet of torque in like a, 30, 300 pound car. And it was just like foot to the floor, wait, maybe you're going 100. You need to speed up from 100, foot to the floor. Like it's just, yeah, you just drove it like you stole it all the time.
Hell yeah.
I feel like
okay,
we would have
I
glossed
feel like
over
we've like
this.
flown through time though, because it was like, how did you go from like,
Yeah.
hey, we're getting like kicked off the like track because we're drifting, to like, hey, I'm being flown to
in
the
UK.
UK to go teach drifting.
Yeah,
Oh.
where did that come from?
Obviously, sometimes, yeah, like what happened
Yeah.
there?
Time
So
has passed.
I worked at a shop in Ontario called Adrenaline Motorsports, and there's 9,000 Adrenaline Motorsports. Everybody calls their shop that.
Yeah, right. Like,
They
what
were
the
a
heck?
Supra specialist, so they specialized in.
Yeah, I bet you I know what font you guys had as your look.
Yes, 100%. Whatever you're thinking it is, yes. But yeah, we specialize in Supras, and so we basically restored Mark IV Supras and then like serviced everything else. And we had so many customers who would come in, they'd have 50 grand, they'd buy a brand new restored Mark IV Supra, and they would drag it back on a trailer a week later, fold it in half, and they'd drop another 50 grand in another one. Although it was lucrative, we kind of had to teach them how to race their cars. So we started organizing track days. And a couple of the track days I got to teach, and that was kind of like the origin point of trying to teach people how to race. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, but I knew a little bit more than they
did, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And so when I moved out here, it sort of became natural to try to help others get better at it. I don't know how to segue this. There's a bit of a deeper story. When I moved out here, I bought a Corolla for $250, when you get AA6s for cheap.
Yeah.
And it had rod knock, and I pulled all the parts off it, and I put all these AA6 parts in an E7 wagon. I had this spare shell sitting around. I traded a guy for the shell for a complete RX-7, the whole thing. He wanted an AA6 shell. He gave me an RX-7, and I decided I didn't want the RX-7. So one of the guys from Cap D traded me the RX-7 for free admittance to Cap D for life. That was my deal. And so for the first couple of years, I went and drove, but it kind of felt shitty. Like I felt like I was stealing a little bit. So I started helping. And so I had this this sort of experience, like teaching racing. And then I felt guilty for like being the one who's not paying to be at Cap D, even though I technically paid, I guess. Mm-hmm. So the two sort of came together, and I sat in a lot of people's cars and said, hey, this sucks and this is good. Try this more and this less. And then eventually I got to the point where we wrote the drift school, and then that to UK, if you're trying to follow the thing. Yeah.
Because that was one thing that there were, you would teach theory nights, and you were a big proponent of trying to help people better themselves as early as possible. And it's kind of funny, it's not funny, but it feels like, what would have taken us 10 years to learn or figure out what parts work on a car and what parts don't work on a car. And like now the people can learn those theories and learn those setups in a weekend, basically.
Yeah. Drift. I've always maintained drifting is easy getting the chance to drive in a space that you're allowed to in a car that drifts well is hard. So if you can provide a space that, you know, you're allowed to be in and a car that drives well, then most people can learn it pretty quickly.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah, you're right. You know, you could literally teach your mom how to do a drift if you had an open course and a good setup car and a weekend, you know?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I was also annoyed that nobody else sort of stepped up and rode a course. Like it was so trial by fire. Like people would show up to Cap D and they're like, I don't know, I bought a car, I put it together, I made mods, I don't know if, and then they get in line and hit the wall. You're like, that sucks. So there needed to be a step in between there.
I got a follow-up question. I'm going to sneak in there with it. And maybe you won't want to answer it because it's too much. Is it fair to say then that you are somewhere on the meter of responsible for helping develop the island driving style? You played a hand in it. Would I have to ask someone else's question for them to be like, yeah, Quinn totally helped? Is this like a thing where you won't like toot your own horn? Because it kind of sounds like the answer is yes, but go on.
It feels like you can't say no to that question, but like you also can't put all of it
No, I know.
On one person's shoulders either, by any means.
I agree, but I said metered. There's a meter. It's
I know. You had to ask the question. That's your job.
Yeah,
ask the tough questions.
Do you guys eat with like westernized utensils or chopsticks?
It depends what I'm eating.
Depends where I'm at, whom I'm with, you know?
Okay. So you've used a fork before.
Yes.
Okay. So we can talk about the fork in the road where Cap D had this moment where they really wanted to be DMCC. They wanted to be the next professional level, which there was some people that were achieving that, especially a lot of Vancouver drifters were achieving that, but a lot of the islanders were not. And I remember specifically there was a meeting where they were going to jack up the prices to like $150 to come and drive. And then they were going to change the rules that everybody's got to have a good looking car with roll cages and body kits, all that stuff, which was awesome. But it basically excluded 90% of the people that were going there.
That were already there, yeah.
Yeah. And the one thing that I think the claim to fame, if I was doing any claim to fame, is I remember that meeting and I remember yelling at that meeting and saying it needs to stay at $60. And that's kind of where Cap D succeeded. Weirdly enough, is we focused on pre-tech. So I recently did a bunch of American events, and American events are like, you sign the sheet, you sign the sheet, you promised us that the car is safe, but you have to have a cage because we didn't actually check. So if you crash, you have something, right? Like they don't actually take the effort to look at your car and be safe. Where we sort of did it the other way around. We made sure that even the shitty cars had the basics so that they can stop and turn, and that they have tires on them and the lights work. And that allowed us to keep it $60 and to allow cageless tandems for a very long time. So it made it very attainable. And so that's, if I want to make any claim to fame, I just want to make that where I tried to fight to keep it attainable for poor people like myself. Yeah.
That's fair.
So that way everyone got good because they got seat time.
Seat time.
Well, also like it's now you got $90 to spend on tires instead of $150 on the whole event, you know?
Hell yeah. Yeah.
I've had a few, so I'm putting everything on your shoulders now. Congratulations. No, yeah, that's how it works in my brain. Okay. So the island wanted to go that way. Some point you're flown around to teach people drifting. You just said you do events in the US. You're driving in the US. Is that what's happening?
I've driven a couple. I did Formula Drift earlier this year. So I went down and was a engineer for a prospect team.
I read some very positive things from that team about your relationship with them and what they thought you brought to them.
Yeah, we had a good time. We were not very successful in the traditional measurement of successful, but I tried to lay down.
I assume that would be winning.
Yes, yeah. To give you context, they didn't win a single battle all the previous year at all, like zero. And this year we managed to make it to top 8 in an event, and a lot of that wasn't making race car engineering changes. It was making logic changes. And so I went down there to fix his car, and I found out that I needed to fix the approach instead.
Nice.
Yeah.
the
Are we
system.
talking about why are we not? Just so I know, is there a reason?
Can you
I
delve
edit
more
it
into
out?
that? Because
No, I just want to
that
know
sounds-
the
that
team.
sounds a
Can
bit-
you
a bit
say the
vulgar.
team or not?
Yeah, it's
the team?
a
not vulgar,
gentleman
so-
called Alex Licklider. He's out of close to Baltimore in Maryland.
Okay.
He drives for NST. He's got an FRS.
Non-stop tuning.
tuning.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, hell yeah. And so, yeah, I yelled at him on a FRS drift Facebook post. Somebody was going off about sway bars, and I yelled at him, and immediately it was like, this little message, like, the hell are you talking about? And he was very angry. And then we kept talking, and I kept sort of backing up my points. And then it turned into 4-hour sessions with diagrams over the course of like 7 or 8 sessions. And then he invited me down to come like try to help fix his stuff. So, yeah.
Wow. Look at you, Quinn. You're living quite the life. And we just like, I love finding out like just by accident, it like slips in there. It's like, and then I was in the UK, but like this starts with you like, I wanted to drive a road in BC, so I moved. And then it's just whoop, right to the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
When I asked Quinn to be on, and he was like, why would anyone want to know about what I've done? And I was like, the fact that you think that way further exasperates how ridiculous you are.
yeah. Oh, why would anyone want to be on this? I just told an FD team how to run their shit. Yeah, that's great. And I had a hand in helping develop some of the best driving in Western Canada. Oh, cool. Great.
It's hard for me to hear this stuff, to be fair. Yeah.
No, I get it. I don't know anyone who would walk around and say that stuff. I know one person who'd walk around and say that stuff about themselves.
Who would that be?
Who's that?
No.
So can we hire you to teach Ryan to be a better drifter than me? How long would that take?
Afternoon.
Yeah, right. That's what I think too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not even good.
I wanted to say this. This is aside from everything that we're doing right now.
Like I want
Kevin,
to buy Ryan a Christmas gift, and it's private lessons on how to drive.
Gerard has to build the car, so it works
in your own car. Yeah, exactly. Gerard builds the car.
So Gerard's my crew manager. Quinn,
yeah, exactly.
Okay. Anyway, what I was going to say as a side, Kevin, I was looking at footage of you driving today. You are a very exciting driver to watch. Like the footage of you at Spirit Peaks, I was like, oh shit! Like Kevin's like very entertaining to watch. So congratulations. I wanted to let you know that in a private message, but now I've said it on a recording. Anyway,
in a public forum, yeah.
This isn't about us. Also, in the video, I can tell that you're annoyed at me again, which is very funny.
I feel that's just my MO. I'm just annoyed.
Yeah, it's not usually just like when a video camera's on. Quinn, just a little bit of to let you in on this. I make videos of the two of them occasionally, and whenever I do it, they're
topless.
Whenever I do it, I ask questions. Gerard is a great sport about it, answers all the questions, and Kevin always looks annoyed that I'm talking to him to try to drive the plot of the video forward. Like, why are you asking me questions? And then he watches the video. He's like, oh, I see. I needed to say what we were doing so we could move to the next. Anyway.
It's important.
I recently just got it. Yeah. Where I'm just like, Ryan, like we're leaving the restaurant to go to the track. We just talked about this. Why are you asking? And it's like, because now we're filming and you're trying to set the scene. Like, yeah. Oh, I'm an idiot.
Yeah, it's great. Anyway, enough about us. That's not what we're here for. Back to Quinn, who has lived a magnificent life. I'm very much enjoying this. Okay, so I don't know how to get you to say the cool things that you've done because it just feels like they like slip out by accident. So maybe I'll just ask a few questions. Yeah, that is the best way. But we only got a set amount of time. So Quinn, how many different countries have you taught drifting in?
5.
That's a lot of countries.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is that counting Canada?
It does count Canada. Yeah.
Okay, sick.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I count Canada.
We are a country.
Yeah.
We're a sovereign. Okay.
So
how many continents?
3. 4, 3, 3,
Oh,
3, 3,
shit.
3. Yeah.
Four would be really impressive, but 3 is already very impressive.
Yes.
Most of them, to be fair, most of them were either impromptu. Like it wasn't like
I
somebody was,
haven't
like,
been
trying
to
drag
3
me.
continents.
Okay, that's fair. So
Sucks
Canada,
to be you, buddy.
Yeah, I know.
Fucking Gerard, tell us about some more endangered birds.
you can see the reflection of the birds off his glasses.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
He's looking at hunting
Just
photos of
fucking-
him, just like
yeah.
People,
Fucking
yeah,
Look at all these
Gerard's like
birds I
super.
killed.
the best way to kill macaws. Yeah,
Yeah.
or toucans, I should say.
Okay, what are the countries that you've taught in? So I want to know.
Yeah, Canada, the US, Australia, the UK, and Japan.
Shit,
Yeah.
you went to the motherland and taught drifting to. That's
Yeah, it was.
I don't know.
It was extremely impromptu. So we were on the top of Mount Ibuki. We had gone with the Team Tetsujin team. Team Tetsujin does the D1 team as well as they do a bunch of RC stuff.
Yeah.
This was an RC trip for a couple of Vancouver guys that we sort of tagged along with. And part of their reward for them kind of being over there in Japan was while we were at Mount Ibuki, there was a rental car. And
Like a rental drift car.
yeah. And not only did a couple of the guys not drive manual, so they were RC drifters, but they'd never driven manual. But some of the Team Tetsujin employees were sharing the day and also didn't know how to drift. So I got voluntold to kind of give instructions that day to show some of these guys how to do just basic stuff like donuts and even just one of the guys just wanted to learn how to drive manual for the first time. So we're up on like Mount Ibuki, like where they run like FD Japan, like, okay, yeah, slowly bring the clutch up, like, yeah.
What a time.
Yeah.
That's cool. Where was your favorite place that you taught?
I really enjoyed teaching the UK. People here don't realize how big the UK drift scene is, but basically there's a drift day happening at a track somewhere any day of the month. And because the UK is so small, it's probably
it's wet.
Yeah.
Everyone's always drifting whether they want to be or not.
There's so much seat time. There's 3 different professional drift leagues there. So if you don't like one, you can actually be like, fuck those guys and just go drive another one.
That's so cool.
So there's tons of drifting there. And that was really fun. We were living under the bleachers at a track called Rockingham in Corby. And I went there twice, 2 different summers to teach. And it was a really good time. There was one gentleman I remember who was, I took a photo with him because I was very happy that we got him doing consistent donuts. He had a very severe head injury. And so dad brought him out on a private day and you would give him an instruction. And then 10 seconds later we'd click in. It was like this huge gap. So you had to like plan your instructions 10 seconds ahead of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all he could do is like nod yes or no. So you also had to like structure your questions in a way that could result in a yes or no. That was fun. Yeah.
Wow.
Nice.
Jeez. All right. I gotta ponder some more ponderings here if anyone else has. I feel like I got like a short amount of time with a giant encyclopedia and the internet doesn't exist. And you're the encyclopedia.
What's your favorite car to drift?
I love Corollas. And yeah, I would murder to drive Corollas all the time. Yeah.
What's the most powerful car you drifted?
When we were in Japan, we got to rip around in a JZX 100 Mark II. It had 500 horse.
Nice.
Yeah, that was good.
How did you like that?
The owner got mad at me because he spun on his demo run and I didn't. And then he kind of like shunned me from driving the car for the rest of the day.
Oh, that sounds nice.
He's like, oh, it's a car. It's
You know what that feels like?
No.
That feels like big watch energy.
It was a little, yeah. No, he's a super nice man. Yeah.
What do you have currently?
I have a lovely 82 Corolla wagon named Doug. It was formerly Jacqueline Child's car. It's a light blue one with some pink and yellow stripes on it.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Yeah. All 62 horsepower.
Are you a car namer or did the car come with a name?
The car came with the name. Yeah.
But
I've named some cars though. Yeah. we've got a series of, we were talking about liftback Corollas, and I had Betsy Black, I had Betsy White, and Betsy Blue. So I had multiple different liftbacks with the Betsy name on them.
Yeah.
Nice. Do you like Celicas?
Eddie Murphy. It's Celica. Super Live 8-way sound system, the new Celica by Eddie Murphy. I love Celicas. And secretly, Celicas are actually AA6s. A lot of people look over them, but like the 60 series Celica was sold in Japan as an AA63 with a 4AG.
Yeah.
And it's literally the 6.7 rear end. It's the same struts and everything in the front. It's just a different body. And yet they're really slept on here. So weirdly enough, you could build a car that feels like an AA6 without actually paying AA6 money.
And that's what year? That's that would be like a 76 up or something? 78 up?
It's sort of, you could start as back in the RA21s if you really wanted to. But this would be an RA64, not a 65. 65's independent rear end, but the 64 and like RA60 and all that stuff starts in about 82.
Okay. So that's the weird like flat hood with the 4 square headlights.
No, after that, the early ones had flip forwards headlights, and then the later ones had flip up headlights.
Is that the last vestige of Corolla essence? Like the A86 became way too much, and then people knew, if they knew, that the TE was like a cooler looking AE, so they got all of those up, and now those are jacked up. So now you can maybe get an RA21 or
I mean,
I think those Celicas are sick.
Yeah, man, they're
Jason.
Honestly, like it took me so long to like the weird notchback one,
the angry taillight one.
Those are sick.
Yeah, but like, man, there's this one super old photo where it looks like it's been shot in the quarter panel with a shotgun, and it's like lowered on like street fins.
It's white and it's owned by a girl.
Dude, it's so good.
Yeah,
it's so good.
I know that car.
And that car, I was like, oh, okay, wait, no, I do love this car. Like,
yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah,
Jason DeBrun was on that, like, so ahead of,
dude, like, no, like, I swear that photo that I'm talking about is like 10 years old. This is like when Gerard was photoshopping wheels at like Keep Labs, like, like that photo was like an already car that existed. But yeah, I know the guy who Jason got that car off of, he wanted to trade me that for the Aristo, and I was like, dude, like, I would, but like the entire reason I'm getting rid of this car is I have a car on the way from Japan right now, and I need the room, so like I can't be trading it for another car. But yeah, I wanted that car so bad.
It's great, and Jason drives it really hard. I love that Jason does that. He takes cool cars and drives them hard. It's sick.
Yeah, and then he fucks them up and fixes them and drives them hard again.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, his black car that he had with the V8, that was my Betty Black.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. That particular body style is it's not for me. I'll say that. That particular
Isn't that the one we were talking about? That weird.
They're great. Yeah, there's a 2-door wagon, and you can roll down the front windows and the back windows, and you have no B pillar. And you get all
B-pillar?
That's the one.
Yeah, that is kind of sick for sure.
All right.
When we used to have the
I just don't like the hatch being a hatch.
No, it's fine. Keep talking. I don't mind.
No, I was going to say we had the old Celica 72 Celicas that when you roll down all the windows too, there's no pillar.
Yeah, those E7s are like that all the way up until 83.
Yeah, that's sick. Yeah, I think Celicas are dope. That's the car I would have. But my car, actually, sorry, last thing, my actually favorite old Toyota is the Corona.
Okay, you like ST141 Corona.
So I'm pretty sure. Okay, so there's the one that has the round headlights, but the grill goes into the hood.
Grill goes up into the hood.
I think it's a 78 or a 76.
Okay. 2-door?
4-door, of course.
Okay.
I mean, I had a couple of Coronas, but yeah, this is a 4-door. Because when I was younger, when I first moved to BC, there was one that used to rip around all the time. It was slam 4-door, black, white. It was I think those come with a 20R or maybe an 18R.
They're a really weird car because they actually use the frame from the Toyota Hilux, even though it's unibody. And it has
upper lower arm front suspension, right?
And the frame rails come in and almost pinch and touch. You can't put like weird swaps in it. Like it's a really complicated car to modify.
Weird. Man. But yeah,
Give
anyways,
it up, Gerard. You
it
can't
was slammed on like
No.
widened steelies and stuff, and it was just like that was like one of the cars that I always saw, because back when I first moved here, there was just tons and tons of like 510s and Corollas and this and that, and then that car was like I'd only see it once in a while at night, and I was like, yo, what the hell is that thing? And it sounded sick because the 18RG and 20Rs, 18Rs and 20Rs had that like much deeper sound than like all the Corollas and stuff, and I was like, man, that thing was really sick. And then I remember seeing it one time finally like not ripping down the road. And I was like, yeah, that thing's cool. And it was the only 4-door car that I like thought looked cool because it has like a bit of like haunches on the back, and like then the grill went into the hood and
It's
still
got
had
a little
round,
hip.
yeah, like round headlights. And I was like, that thing's cool.
Hell
But
yeah.
they're really, really unpopular, that's for sure. Because
They were really expensive comparatively. So
Yeah.
like you could buy a Corolla for like $5,000, and then those were like $9,000. So
Wow.
very few people bought them, even though you didn't really get that much better of a car. If anything, you kind of got like a
less of
little
a
bit
car.
of It was heavier, it was slower, but it was more luxurious for sure.
Yeah.
I remember looking at this Crown that was like, it reminded me of like a MX-32 Cressida, and it had a 20R, and we had like done some tree work at the woman's house, and like it was 700, like she was going to sell to me for $750, and it was sort of like that was a bit of money to me at the time, and I didn't really have any room for it, and it was like, you know, I'd have to have it insured all the time and park it on the street, and like, you know, yeah, I think even Gerard maybe even talked me out of it at the time. I don't know, like, you know, like it's just like, what the hell are you going to do with that? And I'm like, I'm going to make it so crazy, and he's like, you can't do any of that, you know. It's like, yeah, you know, you're right, and like, yeah, I never bought it, but man, like,
I base my purchases on how many bushings the car has. The more bushings, the less interest I'm in. Yeah. Because that's the only, if you think of a car, it's glass, it's steel, aluminum, sometimes brass, and then rubber. And the only thing you actually have to do to restore a car besides fix rust is replace all the rubber. So the less rubber the car has to start with, the better the car is.
yeah, but some cars just rust like crazy, you know.
Oh, hell yeah.
So this is a question
Awesome.
we've talked about on the podcast a ton, but you know, it would be good to get an outsider's opinion from someone who is about getting people into drifting a lot, and from their own admission, sounds like they're super cheap. What's the best car to buy right now if you want to get into drifting?
Right this moment at this time, like if somebody listens to this later, this advice is no good.
Well, not to, you know,
No, like
within the
current.
year, you know. I just saw this car. It's for sale.
This one
This
right
is
now.
the phone
Yeah.
number.
Yeah. No, honestly, I would love for more people to buy, and you're going to cringe at this, V6 Mustangs. Because
Like
not only are they
S95s.
basically free at this point, like there's so many of them, but they're awful cars. They're actually awful cars.
Like
But
S95 Mustangs.
yeah, hell yeah.
Okay.
And write them off. Like just use that as a learning chassis, figure it out from there. There's a ton of aftermarket support for them, and any of the V8 stuff that people throw out for their big V8 upgrades is an upgrade for the V6 stuff. So you basically get like this really good plethora of parts to learn on a shitty car. And then once you're better than the car at driving, then you can move on to something really cool.
I mean, I don't hate your mentality.
No.
Yeah.
But now this kind of leads me to another thing that we've talked about, and I wonder where Quinn will
Those
land
things
on
sound
it.
awful.
They're awful
there,
cars.
my
They
man,
sound
Gerard.
way worse
They're
than
Yeah,
they
absolute
used.
shit. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
awful cars.
So
Side note: do you know why here's a really weird take on Mustangs? By the way, if you're okay with this,
Yeah,
I'm here
no.
for it. Let's do it.
nobody knows.
Rabbit hole.
Nobody knows it's a British car.
The Mustang's a British car.
Yeah, so
Or
the
that
first
one.
So every hot rod uses Mustang 2 suspension. The Mustang
Yeah.
2 was actually secretly the best Mustang ever, which people locally in North America consider the worst Mustang because it was ugly, but it actually had the best suspension. The front end's almost identical to a Miata. It's a dual A-arm with
I
like a
used to have
front
a
mount
Pinto,
rod.
so I know everything about
Yeah,
that.
hell yeah.
I was about to say, my
Yeah.
mans, you guys are about to
Yeah.
become best friends.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. They were a commercial failure. And so Ford
Yeah.
panicked and they brought over the chassis.
Is that the Mach 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they had Mach 2, but it was the Mustang 2. It was just that was the name of it. Mach 2 was like a sub model, but yeah.
Okay, sorry.
But yeah, they brought over the Ford Granada chassis from the UK, from the set like 1973 Ford Granada, brought it over, rebodied it, and called it a Fox body. And then they kept making that until basically 2010 with new bodies on it. And it was just the same British chassis from the early 70s. So they have
Granadas are pretty sick though.
They are cool. Yeah. And they're kind of how Hyundai started. And that's a whole other mess of a ridiculous, but yeah.
What?
So side note, Hyundai,
The first Hyundai ponies.
pre-Pony, before the Pony, Hyundai was actually Hyundai Ford.
The Hyundai embryo.
Yeah. The first Hyundais were actually Ford Granadas that were built in Korea by Hyundai. And then eventually they rebodied them and made the Stellar. And then after the Stellar, they rebodied the Stellar to make the Pony and the Pony 1.5 technically. And then eventually the front wheel drive Hyundai Pony, which we got as the Excel. But anyways, the Mustang, the reason it has no steering lock is okay, hold up. This is a big rant. You ever seen the videos of people getting hit in crowds with Mustangs?
Obviously.
Do you know why? There's a scientific reason that happens, and it's not cultural. The culture doesn't help for sure. Like the meatheads that buy them, that you're like, but the reason that occurs is Ford tried to save money on them by not putting a panhard bar. They took the upper two forelinks and triangulated them. Yeah. And then to delete. So it's after a year, those bushings are worn out. So the axle not only wobbles back and forth, but it moves front and back. So that's
and then
when
they put shocks fore aft.
To save money on that panhard bar. It's insane. But additionally, on the front end, they don't use traditional McPherson struts. They use modified McPherson strut, meaning the shock is the strut like a McPherson, except
the spring is on the lower end.
Yeah. And so that spring now is in the way of the steering lock. So they have to reduce the amount of steering they have from factory so that the factory wheels don't hit. So
when you start to do a tank slapper, you have to
you can't catch it.
Yeah.
The other thing is nobody notices, but the engine's in front of the front wheels. It's not on top. It's not behind. It's past the front axle. So they're nose heavy to begin. They're awful cars. Awful.
So
it's
basically,
funny.
buy that car, and once you can drive the shit out of that car, you can drive fucking anything.
Yeah.
So the funny thing is, I was 16 years old. My first car was a Volvo GT. Basic car, 120 horsepower, but well set up. You know, it's European, had a panhard bar, 5-link in the back, first struts in the front. My buddy had a Mustang, same thing, equivalent. It was a V6 box body, whatever. Was it a V6? Might have been a 4-cylinder, whatever. Same basic car. His was auto, mine was 5-speed, but like whatever. I would just drift the thing in the rain nonstop all day long, like every corner, no problem. And then one time we were skipping school, we went to the Guildford Mall parking lot. Before there used to be like this S turn that you would do like in first or second gear or something like that. I took his car for a drive once and I was like, what in the fuck is this? Like literally just like had zero handling, like no initiation, no catching it, no traction, no steering lock, nothing. Like it had nothing that my basic Volvo had. So the Volvo had steering lock, the Volvo had balance, the Volvo had, like it wasn't like a light or a heavy car, and it certainly wasn't a powerful car, but I guess the GT had like sway bars and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so it was like, and it was easy to drive. And I mean, back then it wasn't really called drifting, it was just power sliding, but like in the rain and all the winter months, I would just be sliding the car around nonstop. Like we would leave school and I'd be like drifting between people walking, leaving school. And it was like so easy to do. But in the Mustang, I was like,
don't do that.
Terrified.
Don't do it. Yeah, it's awful.
Like just terrified to even
they have
like
a really
turn
crazy
the thing.
Slow steering ratio and everything. It's nuts. Yeah, I can see that.
All right.
This podcast right here has done more to curb my love of Fox bodies than anything in the last 20 years has. No?
Have you ever driven a Fox body, Kevin?
No, that's what you always tell me. You're like, they're terrible. I'm like, no, man, I want a Fox body.
Did
You're
you
like,
not see Chelsea Denofus?
Car ever.
They had to move the front wheels like a foot forwards just to make it steer correctly. Like if you look at his arches, they're like You know, like
yeah, he's bringing it to LZ Invitational.
Oh, he built one right now.
It's a Fox body with what's the engine in it?
They've got
what's that one dude though?
EcoBoost.
Crazy slammed
EcoBoost.
one though.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing has got an entire tube.
I know.
So
it's basically an entire tube car.
I mean, I do think they look cool, and I like the Surrey culture of Fox body Mustangs. Like, I'm from Surrey, so like I like that, but like they're terrible cars.
I know, you've told me this so many times.
The second you put your hand on the door handle and open it, the fucking game is over. Like, they're just absolute garbage.
They don't have frame rails. The frame rail stops at the firewall and then starts at the rear axle. The entire floor, the whole thing is flat.
Dude, Corollas are like that too. They have a giant missing part of frame rail.
There's a tiny little piece at the back of the door, but it does go all the way behind the driver.
One of the most popular things for Fox bodies back in the day was frame rail connectors. So
you had to weld frame rails in it.
Yeah, and it was like this piece that not only the cars had the shittiest floor ever, so when you lowered them, they had no travel anyways. And then they would and then you'd have to put these giant fucking things underneath the car to like make it not a wet noodle. And they would just scrape, and like, it was so dumb. Everything about those cars is so dumb.
If you launch a stock Fox body on like grippy tires, you'll twist the chassis from factory in the stock 302. It's awful. Yeah. They're garbage. It's amazing. Yeah.
All right. I wanted to go. I like the
Ryan's out of his element.
Speaking of which, my Pinto was pretty sick. So
no. Kevin said rabbit hole, and then we did the rabbit hole. And I was going to say, I think this might be, I'm not sure. I don't know how to get into this. Maybe I'll just say it.
Rip the Band-Aid off.
I was on Instagram yesterday, and apparently people were arguing about different styles of drifting. Again, for some reason. I don't know how this came up.
It's never going to stop.
I think someone made a video comparing like West Coast drift team to a Midwest drift event, and then saying like drifting should be exciting, and it's like, obviously, and the juxtaposition was like the West Coast drift team was on each other's doors, and the Midwest drift event wasn't a door-to-door tandem,
but they had nicer cars.
Yeah, I think that was what they were getting at. So, Quinn, now if I'm listening to this and I don't know anything about drifting, you've taught drifting in a myriad of different countries. I've just been advised to buy a car that I cared nothing for, get behind the wheel and drive, which is, I might argue, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, is not how the three of us approach cars, if that's fair to say. Gerard, Kevin, and myself, I think
I will say,
yeah, say it.
A lot of the most fun times I've had in cars are in cars I did not care anything about.
But you did sell your G35.
Yeah, but that wasn't a car I didn't care anything about. That was a car I hated.
Yeah. Okay.
I felt very strongly about that.
All right. But I would feel strongly about a car I didn't like. I think like,
it's a car you like, but you paid so little for it that you don't care what happens.
So
and that brings you a freedom.
Got it. Anyway, age-old question, Quinn, where do you fall on the scale of like drift cars should look dope versus seat time?
Great question.
Like, where is it? Where is the spectrum of like cool shit?
This question has already been addressed in our drift school pamphlet that I wrote. There is a page about this. There are two parts to being good at drifting.
Can you read the page?
I could. I'll just tell you off the top of my head.
Yeah.
There's two parts to being good at drifting. One is driving well, and two is looking good. So until you achieve both, then you're not actually good at drifting. So, because drifting's always been a style sport. It's not about, there's no stopwatch. You can't win, right? So the only way to really be good at it is to look good doing it. And to look good doing it, not only you have to look good in a photograph, you have to look good in a video as well. And so some people go for that photograph look where they're like, their car looks sideways, but it's just somebody caught them spinning. You have to drive a good looking car well.
Yeah.
All right.
Is that obviously that's penultimate or like the pinnacle of drifting, but like which side, when you fall off the mountain, what side are you falling to?
I can't afford for my cars to look good, so I try to drive them really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Additionally, though, it's a cheaper approach in the long run if you drive a dumpy car, get good at it, and then drive a cool car. You can do it the other way, though, and there's some people that have been successful driving a good-looking car poorly and then eventually getting good at it.
That's my approach. That's always been my approach. Just want to make the sickest car and like try to drive it as best I can, which is usually not that great. So,
so can I interject a question here?
Yes.
So when you spend so much time driving that sick-looking car that maybe doesn't handle well, is that making you a better driver? Are you learning how to drive around issues? You know what I mean? When you're like, one of the last events I was going to, it was like, I really wanted to throw this backwards entry, but if I went to maximum lock, my front wheels would grind on the tie rod or grind on the tension rod, and that would scrub the front and cause the back to over rotate, and I would spin. So I'd have to like try to catch it just before absolute full lock, or else it,
that's a terrible time.
Exactly, because like I'm using a front wheel that isn't the ideal setup on my front wheel, and like all these other compromises. But I want to drive still. I want to get the practice. I want to have the fun, but it's not the setup I'm used to or the best setup for my car. But
yeah, I taught grip racing for a while, and in that perspective, the ultimate
is that like a Cowichan on the island, or
I was an instructor.
Well,
I was
guess
an instructor
on both.
Both, but I was an instructor at the VIMC, the Vancouver Island Motorsports Circuit, for a while. But that would come up often is we'd have people who have really fast cars and are shitty drivers. Then we had people who are really slow cars and are really good drivers. Even in drifting, whatever is the lower of the two will be the limiting factor, if that makes sense. So if the car sucks and you're awesome at driving, you can work with it, but ultimately you don't have as wide a range of opportunity as.
Yeah. Your box isn't as big.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if you're a bad driver with a bad car? No.
Let's start with the Mustang. Just write it off and work from there.
Write it off.
Yeah.
All right.
Just not into somebody else.
You know what this is? This is just Quinn's vendetta against Mustangs. He's trying to get every Mustang written off.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I'm annoyed. I'm absolutely annoyed. I picked Corollas because they were free. like if I had 13 AA6s at $10,000 in AA6s, it's $130,000 of AA6s that I like literally were free for me. And I really wish I would have kept till now. Like,
I mean, you can never foresee that. And you know what I mean? Like, when people are giving you a car for free, you can't be like, man, this car's going to be worth $20,000.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way you can associate that with that at that time,
Yeah.
All right. I want to get to this.
Or store them.
Oh, he's got a question.
Your admiration for wheels. And then when you visit Speed Hero, there is a lot of.
Yeah, you're like a wheel design firm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, what's the question? I don't know.
I kind of just want to talk about wheels with you, get your take on wheels. We've been following each other on Instagram. I saw that you left a note.
None of these wheels have quite come to fruition yet. Is that true?
Yeah.
Like I know that it's been close, or you've been in talks, or you've been trying to get a certain amount of people interested, or.
Sure. Yeah. I have prototypes sitting on the wall in the room next to me, 2 actual wheels. They can't be used. There's some things that are incorrect about them, but we got close. I designed some wheels, and a gentleman from Australia decided he wanted to invest in them. And then he stole $17,000 of my customer's money, and we had to back charge him through Visa to get our money back. So I've been very discouraged with that. No doubt. I have some dreams to do it again. I wrote a Kickstarter a long time ago and did nothing with it so far, but
yeah,
that sucks, man.
Yeah, honestly, like the group buy or the pre-sale or all of that is just like not a fun thing.
The problem, I have a hurdle that is a hurdle for no one else, is I hate CNC wheels that are like if I'm trying to make a late 70s, early 80s wheels, they didn't have CNCs. There was no CNC. So when you like machine wheels that way, it doesn't look correct. And so I'd rather make a correct looking wheel than have like that. I don't know. I'm annoyed. I've been trying to sandcast the wheels for a couple of years now. And every sandcasting place is like, oh, we recommend CNCing. You can't sandcast a wheel, forgetting that every aluminum and magnesium wheel since the dawn of like the horse and carriage until
up until like 78 or something.
Probably all the way up until the like mid 90s. To be fair, we're still sandcast. So like, it's a dead art, and I'm having trouble finding the right connection to get. All I need to do is make centers, and we're ready to go. Alex is sitting there twiddling his thumbs at home, waiting for me to drop centers off, and I just can't find a sandcaster that I can afford and that will actually say yes. So much so that I've actually written a plan to trick sandcasters into. So I made I did in SolidWorks a fake table where the wheel center is part of the center of the table, to make it look like an outdoor patio set, because they'll sandcast patio sets, right? And so like they're like, hey, this is the piece I need made for my patio set. Can you make these? And I'm waiting for them to say yes, and then I can actually make wheel centers because I'm so annoyed that I can't get them sandcast.
But you still have to machine the backside and stuff.
Yeah. There still has to be machining past that, but most of the stuff, it's every design that I do that I want to make is specifically not only designed with like sandcasting draft angles in it, but it's designed that only a lathe needs to touch it afterwards.
Oh wow, crazy.
Yeah, so I plan it all in, but nobody will cast them, and I can't afford to like brute force it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
That might be the most car hipster thing I've ever heard. And I mean, don't mean like, I don't mean like the dumb, like, I don't mean like the hipsters doing car shit.
That's such a
I mean like the actual, like, you might actually have coined the, like, I don't want to use modern technology to realize my dream. And part of your dream is this very, like, I love it. I think it's great. I think it's great to have that attention to detail and feel that strongly about anything.
I've told people to fuck off because they want to say like CNC, and I'm like, no, like go away. Watanabe is still they're still sandcasted to this day. People are like, I would never put sandcast wheels on. You're crazy. Grandpa's like dragster with their like American racing whatever's on there. Those are sandcasts. Like, yeah,
I'm here for it. I love it. So
yeah, exactly.
Man, good for you.
Even early BBS wheels are sandcast.
Jeez. So you got all these.
It's honestly interesting because that happens in every industry in every way. It's just like the minute there's like a new tool, people instantly forget about all the old ways, completely write it off, and say that it's old and stupid and backwards and can't work. But it's like, well, it worked up until right now, literally right now, it was still working. And you're just like, no.
Yeah, it's true. It's really weird. Somebody just like literally yesterday was going off on me about CNCing the wheels and stuff. I'm ready for sandcasting if anybody's listening.
But then you get that wheel that looks like a CCW, and who wants that?
CCW? Which one's that?
Those would be CNC CCWs. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. No, that's what I mean. That. Like you end up with a wheel that looks like that, and it's like, who wants that?
But I mean, not necessarily. Like you could, like Hayashi's, they just have like the faces machined off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, most modern-ish wheels, like even I remember like when I back in the day got the C5Cs, like Panasports and shit like that, because we used to just take the paint off and polish them. And like I remember you just use like gasket remover, and then you just see the freshly machined face, and the whole rest of it is cast. It's not a sand cast, but it's still, well, I guess those are forged, but technically, every edge is not smooth except for the machined surfaces.
Yeah, hell yeah.
CNC.
Yeah, that's exactly the goal. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I feel like
that's what I'm saying, versus like a whatever CCW, which is like the entire thing. It's just this like looks like
fucking gross.
It looks like
You know what? My
son came
my
up with a
mind was
wheel.
fucking boggled when copies of those wheels came out, and I was like, "What the fuck? Like those are the ugliest, shittiest wheels to start with, and now they're repped. Like what? Like who the fuck is buying these wheels?" But yeah, I mean, I feel like you can still like if you cast them, like not sand cast, but like if they're just cast, they could definitely look the same. They're not the same, but like I feel like they would look closer than an entire CNC wheel. Yeah,
Yes.
There's no way you could achieve the look you wanted with an entire CNC wheel.
No,
And I feel like that's stupid. But like I think if you just cast them generally,
there's this beautiful thing that you can even see in like photographs of older wheels and stuff where at one point the metal was liquid, and when it cooled you can see what would essentially be like a meniscus or like a surface tension to the metal that you don't get in a CNC wheel. You lose all that surface tension and that beauty to that. And not only is that surface tension actually in some ways, because the corner is rounded that should be sharp, it actually improves strength. But it changes what like soft edges and hard edges, and it also changes how the light moves on it. And I'm too deep. I'm a fucking nerd. Yeah.
No, I love it.
I mean, there's no way you can achieve the look you want with a full
right
CNC.
person.
Yeah, you couldn't achieve it with a full CNC wheel. But like I feel like because a lot of the wheels are cast, they still have all those shitty weird like.
That's what I mean. Now you're getting it made like in Japan, basically. You know what I mean? You're getting like the top wheel manufacturer to make your face, basically.
No, that would be a forging. Like all the Yankees and stuff too. They only generally machine the faces of the wheels just to make them actually flat, so that when the thing fucking spins,
I kind of feel like
look like this.
I feel like Enki is like the world's foremost wheel manufacturer, though.
I would say so. Yeah, they do really low end wheels and also really high end wheels.
Yeah. And OEM. They do a lot of OEM wheels.
Yeah, so does Rhoda. Rhoda makes OEM wheels. So
Rhoda makes OEM.
Yeah, man. Rhoda makes a lot of OEM wheels.
Most of those are cast. Now, there are people who might be listening that think that all like wheels that are advertised as forged are forged, but there's different types of forging, and most wheels that are advertised as forged are actually roll forged. So what they'll do is they'll cast the center with a front lip on it, but leave a big chunk for a rear lip. And so it's still a cast center, it's still a cast front lip, and then they'll spin them on a lathe and actually push that big chunk.
That's the matte forging.
Yeah.
Or matte.
360 roll forged.
And also Enki. Yeah, Enki's really big with that. What does Matt stand for again? Metal fucking something technology. Yeah, the matte, like that's Enki's coined term for the rolled. They take the metal and they stretch it out to make the lip.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then SSR, the semi-solid, the SSF technology, semi-solid forge. What do they used to call that? Semi-solid forged. It was basically just like flow formed.
Yeah.
So the metal was like not total liquid; it was like putty, and then they had like a mild,
stamping.
Stamping. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually. That's what makes the TE37 the best wheel in the world, because it's forged. I know TE37 is not. I've listened to the vlogs.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, but they are fully forged, meaning they actually stamp the.
Yeah, no, that I agree with you. The TE37 is like the be all end all of like strength and wheel and like spoke count and everything, and like they sit there and they fucking hammer the thing hundreds of thousands of times to get, you know what I mean, and then they roll the edges. It's an amazing wheel. Like they could just fucking make it look better. Maybe don't offer it in fucking bronze or like ugly ass colors. Like why'd you just make a silver TE37 for fuck's sakes? Like once in your life, make an entirely silver TE37. You've never done that. You got to call it like the LE37T and then machine the edge, and it's gunmetal. It's like they have every idea in the entire world except for silver.
It's like they're the Oreos of cookies without the original Oreos. You know how Oreos is just now all the fucking weird flavors.
Yeah,
there was a
birthday
different
cake.
Yo, what about Chrome TE37s, bro?
What?
There was an Oreo.
What about
before
Chrome
Oreos.
T37?
They've never made Chrome T37s.
Yeah, that's why I'm going to do it. It's going to be sick.
Oh, yeah. I mean, people do it all the time. Like, there's tons of them out there. But like, yeah, you can't buy them like that.
Sorry, I had to look this up. The Oreo's not the original of itself. It was actually a copy of Hydro.
Yeah, no, I did know that.
Oh, imagine that being the other person that's not Oreo. Right?
They've been
Yeah, but I mean that's the perfect. That's capitalism at its best. It's like you don't got to be the first; you just got to be the best.
Yeah, I mean, Q-tip was certainly not the first fucking swab.
Never be the first.
Kleenex wasn't the first fucking like nasal tissue.
Like, what was the first cola? Certainly wasn't fucking
Coca-Cola.
I don't know.
I don't think it's Coke.
I don't think so, man. Not a chance. It was probably
someone told
Dr.
me that
fucking
you have
Doolittle's
deep affinity
elixir
for Coca-Cola.
remedy, and then it was like a cola. And then
I would
Coke's
pay
like,
money to listen to Gerard make up names of products and movies.
Dr. Elixir's fucking
He said Dr.
cola.
Doolittle elixir.
Yeah, well, it would have been some sort of elixir type like cola thing that probably had nothing to do with taste. It was like, hey, here's a drink.
It cures baldness.
Exactly.
And,
you should drink this if you want to not be
Yeah.
stupid or something.
Yeah,
It's got cocaine in it, and it makes you feel better, you know?
Yeah.
Memory juice.
For more energy, drink Dr. Doolittle's elixir cola.
You know Dr. Doolittle talks to animals, right? That's
I didn't actually mean Dr. Doolittle. It just came to mind.
All right.
I do want a version of Dr. Doolittle where Eddie Murphy also plays the animals.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
What about
I
if
bet he
Dr.
would do it
Doolittle
now.
could talk to cars or something? You know what I mean? What about that?
That would be like a.
Oh, is that a weird
like-
Herbie
Yeah,
slash
Herbie
Cars
the
mix?
Love
No,
Bug?
the other dude, not Herbie.
Knight Rider?
Pee-wee, because he had the mini. Wasn't it Pee-wee? No, not Pee-wee. Who's the dude that had the mini?
Mr. Bean?
Mr. Bean.
Mr.
But
Bean.
he talks and he's like weird and he talks to cars that are like.
But Mr. Bean doesn't talk. He's a mute.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
You
so
know,
he
there's-
only talks to cars.
Only
So the
You know,
Reliant
there's a
Robin
theory
talks for him.
there's a theory that Mr. Bean is an alien, just as a toss.
I mean, that
out
makes
there.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know.
He seems weird. And he's all interacting with shit like he doesn't get it, you know?
Yeah.
Rowan Atkinson, who plays Mr. Bean, is actually a huge car nerd.
Huge
He
car guy.
participates-
Yeah.
tons of
And a
racing
player in
stuff. Yeah.
F1. Yeah,
Yeah, hell yeah.
that's sick.
How about that? All right. Hey, Quinn, what's your favorite wheel manufacturer?
You got to say work or you're fucking getting cut off, buddy.
End
Just
call.
kidding.
I-
Just
to
kidding.
To be fair, I don't know. I don't really have a specific manufacturer that I like. I like wheels like I like music. I enjoy the song, not the band. That makes sense. So usually it's by wheel and not the company itself.
Yeah.
Like it's weird
But
to
if
say.
I-
but
Okay.
Usually we just decide on the favorite brand by the amount of wheels from that brand that we actually like.
But that's
That was
how
a
you
question.
should live your life.
What?
Yeah, don't live your life you live your life however you want. We get questions like, what is your favorite wheel catalog? And then it was like, and then I'll alter it to be like, if you could choose from one wheel catalog for the rest of your life, what manufacturer are you going to choose? And then we like choose work because they have the most options and also the best quality to go with those options. But
I have a favorite wheel.
what's your
What's your
favorite
wheel?
wheel, Quinn?
The Bridgestone Super Wrap.
Oh,
I love Bridgestone Super Wraps.
It sounds like it's an off-road wheel.
It is an off-road wheel. Yeah.
Nice.
It was specifically designed for rally cars in the
I
80s.
can tell by the culture of the name of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
English.
It looks like a Steely. It looks like a Steely, but it's actually stamped out of aluminum to kind of trick the rule book to
Dude,
look like
I'm
you have
loving
stock
this.
wheels.
I'm loving
Yeah.
I
this.
swear we've seen those.
They're really common. They still sell them.
Yeah?
Yeah, they're still
Dude, I
a
want to
thing.
buy that shit.
Yeah. And
I
it's
might
just
get-
a
I'll get you to
super
sign
lightweight
them.
motorsports wheel. Yeah.
super what? Rep?
Super wrap.
Super
Super
rap.
wrap.
As if you were going to drop some lyrics.
Oh yeah.
There's a
That's-
Super Wrap 1 and 2. You can tell the differences between the size of the holes.
Jesus.
Yeah, I've seen those wheels. That is so funny. They totally look like Steelies.
There is a company in the US called Corns. They make Miata parts, and they sell a similar wheel to the Super Wrap. although it's very much more Chinese made, but they do sell a super wrap knockoff, if you want to call it.
A super wrap rep?
Maybe more homage too, because it's not quite.
A super rep.
Yeah, Corn's Miata. I think they're. I don't know where the hell they are.
That's a fucking hilarious deal. Did they come in any cool sizes or just
not at all?
Sizes?
14 by 5.5.
Yeah,
plus 40. Like
black.
But the best, I love the idea that you show up somewhere and people are like, "Oh, this car is completely stock. It is unmodified."
That's too funny.
All right, so Quinn, you do. It looks like you do some graphic design. You teach drifting. Possibly one.
How
of
about
the
you
best
tell
flags.
us, list us the things you don't do?
Yeah.
Work hard. I don't work hard.
That's definitely untrue. Yeah.
I don't make money. Yeah.
It sounds like,
maybe that.
You don't have a job.
Yeah.
I don't get up every morning and go to a place where I'm upset all the time. Yeah. Okay. So but the thing is, you're, and in a lot of ways, living the dream, doing all the things. Do you do photography and video occasionally? Is that a thing that?
Yeah. I will say I'll do anything that's car related. So if I have to write things, so I've written a couple magazine articles. I've taken a couple photos for magazines, but nothing like big publications like that. But when I get forced to do, or how do I word this? Not even forced to do. If I can't afford to participate, I'll participate. So if it happens to be taking photographs, if it happens to be flagging, if it happens to be like teaching, I'll just participate. So I'll touch whatever I can to do. Yeah.
That's
I wanted you to say I'll touch whatever I can to do whatever I can. And then I don't know why.
Whoever I can.
For those,
I'll touch whatever I can on whoever I can.
Yeah. For those listening at home, I think it just occurred to me that Quinn is all three of us put together. He's like designing parts, driving, taking photos, doing video. Quinn, you should just have your own podcast where you just talk to yourself for like 120 hours. And I would
my roommate agrees and bought a bunch of equipment.
And then you edit yourself.
Yeah.
And then you edit yourself.
Oh,
yeah.
That's so hard.
Yourself.
Yeah.
It gets easier. It's fine. I don't even think I have to edit this episode. You don't even need to worry about it.
Should I drop something really like aggressive right now? Just like at least
if you do, Gerard will rise to the occasion and be right in there too.
I heard you're friends with Alexi.
Yeah,
that's a good segue.
Yeah. We don't talk a lot, but I visited him a couple times when I was in Japan, and we hung out a couple times there. That was good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
I met him in 2009, pre YouTube stuff, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
He was just still writing like a blog, and he was willing to meet up. We met at Tsukuba at the Hyper Battle Time Attack. And then, we went to Nico and sort of shared some drifting there. It was pretty cool.
Nice.
Did you drive there?
I just got to some ride-alongs. I didn't get to drive there, sadly. It's my favorite track, but I've still not driven it.
Was that when he had his like 180?
He had
the Mark II.
He had an R32 at the time. This is before the beer can.
Yeah.
It's a blue one. I have some photos of it. He had a folded in quarter, like rear right quarter, I think, had a nice wall tap on it. I don't know what happened to that car. And then I got to hang out with him again in 2017. I surprised him at Ebisu when he was there.
Nice.
Yeah, he's a super nice gentleman in person. Like it's legit. It's not like a thing he's putting on or anything like that. He's just big fan.
Right on.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'd give that man a back rub if he asked. If he ever listens to this, just know that's a receipt you can cash.
He's listened once or twice, I think. We've got a call out. He put Gerard in one of his videos.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Podcast, because Gerard was angry about Japanese people who are not from Japan going to Japan for YouTube to build cars that don't look dope. And then Yeah, it's a fun experience. Actually, it was great, and people have now come to the podcast and started listening to it because of it. So I'm very grateful to Gerard for saying the shit that Gerard says, and then for Alexi listening and being like,
can I side note this?
Yes,
100%.
Side note, like a huge I don't know, like a huge compliment is Japan recognizes SerialNine as like a leader in like parts for the chassis you guys work on. Like it's noticeable, if that makes sense.
How
like
do you notice? Oh,
like watching videos, seeing like pictures from Japan, you see the SerialNine stuff on the cars there. That's amazing. So yeah, good job, guys. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty. We're really
we're trying to make it more prolific, you know?
Yeah.
We want it to be more there.
We have a few connections that we're trying to explore because the ones we've had, like there's a lot of English barriers and it hasn't been super successful. Although Rasty sells our parts, which is kind of an honor to me, but it's very difficult to kind of like work with them. I don't know if their volume's high or what it is, but yeah. So like Sidex, who's actually at Ibizu, and they do like the Side experience, which is like the rent drift cars and stuff like that. And they have a shop and all that there. So we've been kind of in talks with them about maybe carrying, and they've installed all the parts on Samet's car and they've seen the SerialNine quality and this and that. So they're really already fans of the parts.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, we have to actually get the ball rolling to carry more parts. And yeah.
That's dope. No,
it kind of seems like every inroad we've ever made with Japan has sort of like fizzled out instantly, you know?
You have to go there and like
you have to go there 100%. You have to be in person. Yeah.
Let's go to Japan and not eat any food or visit any temples.
Nope, not a one.
With our friend Alex from Respect.
Does he not eat fucking food or what?
No, that was the inside
my joke.
Oh,
previous podcast.
Because when Ryan comes to Japan, he's gonna eat all the food.
Me?
Not vegetarian style. He's gonna eat all
the food. Eat raw chicken hearts.
Yeah. We're gonna eat chicken sashimi. The whole fucking
dude, I need to shit out some chicken sashimi.
It was the joke was we were talking about all going to Japan, and Kevin, it was after a bike ride one night, and Kevin's like, I'm going to Japan, not going to temples, I'm not gonna eat any food. And like Alex, Rare Spec, like leans into me, he's like, but we gotta like eat food while we're there, you know, like I'm like, yeah, Alex, we'll eat food, don't worry. Anyway, Quinn, I do enjoy that you said like, oh, I don't know what I would talk about. And like, I feel like I could just do a series of interviews with you and learn a ton of things. How did you become you? What's the background? Did you go to school for anything, or were you forged or sand cast this way and this is just you? Like how does one become Quinn? What's the roadmap? Existence.
I am very I don't know. How do you answer that from my perspective? I don't really know.
Did you go to school? Did you get trained?
I didn't go to school. No. I have my high school and that's it.
All right.
That's all. Yeah. I have been very poor and I like being poor, weirdly enough. So often when I can't afford to purchase something, I have to learn how to make it. And so that's been a driving factor. Additionally, I really like making the stuff so that I understand why it exists and what purpose and function it does. I found when we were down in the States, I knew we were going to battle kit culture. I didn't realize how bad it was.
What culture?
Kit culture.
Kit
culture. Yeah. So most, like I would say a huge chunk of the pro spec cars down there are people who like just swipe the credit card and don't really know why the parts do what they do.
Yeah.
So they read the website. It tells them that it's going to improve their car, and then they swipe the credit card.
Or everybody else has it on track, so I got to have it.
Yeah, and I found that it was really strange to go down there and be like, hey, this is how you like change the geometry of knuckle. And they're like, why would you change it? These guys are the best. And you're like, well, it doesn't work for this scenario because of this. And like, I don't understand that. Like, it was really odd to run into that down there. So I think a lot of me trying to make my own stuff half the time, or trying to approach it in backwards ways, to like in counterculture ways, sort of taught me some things, I guess. I don't know. That's being Quinn, is just trying to brute force it without spending money on it.
Yeah,
I think asking like how someone becomes who you are is a ridiculously loaded and impossible question. No offense to Ryan.
Yeah.
I think maybe a better question is like, where do you want to go? You know, like where would you?
I want to know where someone goes to, like, how, when I say like, how does someone become Quinn? It's like, Quinn, did you put just like hundreds of thousands of hours into reading on the internet? Like, when you didn't go to school,
research,
how did you
everything
learn?
nonstop?
Hey,
forever.
Kevin, your name is not Quinn.
No,
Quinn,
it's true. I just get full ADHD and like get lost in the sauce of just watching videos and reading things, and then like trying to make stuff at home and hitting my hand with a hammer and being mad about it. You know, like that's just I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, you get let loose in a. So to give you an example, when I
were you like 3D scanning with an Xbox Connects?
I was trying to build my own control arm, so we converted a Kinect to 3D scan. Yeah. To give you an example of how much I hate money, is I worked at that super shop for free. He tried to pay me, but I refused. And it was actually a benefit for me because like I would go there, I'd work and help him with his projects, but because I wasn't a paid employee, it resulted in me kind of getting to go when I needed to and take time off when I didn't. But also like I had free use to the shop after that. So like, yeah, in the middle of the night, I would just build stuff I wanted to out of the scrap that was laying around. And I learned that way. So I still got paid. I just didn't get paid in money.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. So you, when you need to learn something over the course of time, and you had to figure out how to decipher what information was relevant and what wasn't relevant, how did you do that? Like, how do you know? Like, this is a question that we've had. It's like people today, when they go to build cars, they type something on Facebook and then they hope for a reply. And hopefully Quinn's on the other side or Gerard's on the other side of that message to answer. But sometimes you don't have that. You have like some other random guy that doesn't actually know, who talks a big game.
Or a troll who's completely telling you the wrong thing on purpose.
Yeah.
Because they want you to fail.
Stay off of Drift Car Builders Facebook group. Just stay off of that thing.
Right
That's the nightmare in there.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
That's a thing. And the arguments are huge. It's ridiculous.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. Wait, I don't even know the question. What was the question?
So where did you go to find, like, where did you go to find information? And then how did you decipher if it was like valid information or not to get?
Through pure ignorance, I made a lot of mistakes.
Okay.
So like, I feel
that's like how a lot of us learned.
I went to buy this Cressida wagon from this guy. It was an MX-73, 72 wagon in Ontario. And the guy was an ex-oil executive or something like that. And he was like, never change your oil, only change the filter. And I took that as, so I drove like cars for 10 years out changing the oil. And to be fair, I never blew up a motor. Like, so through pure ignorance, I just did stuff. And then if it worked, it worked. If it didn't, I tried a different thing.
Okay.
Yeah. To be fair, I also learned that I love 4ACs because fuck 4AGs, fuck those things, but love 4ACs because you would be driving and the motor would be like, and you would feel it get slow and you're like, oh, it's time to add oil. You'd add a little oil and the RPMs would come back up and you're good. So,
dude, my 3TC was like that. It'd be like, oh, I just got like 100 kilometers less this tank. That means I need to add oil.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
So
all right.
You just experiment.
Experiment.
Fail.
Okay.
Experiment fail.
So to me, that's the answer of the question. How do you become Quinn? You experiment, you fail, you persevere.
We'll adjust that. We'll call it fail cheap.
Yeah. Okay.
And
That's
hopefully
even
learn
better.
and learn from the fail.
And learn.
Yes.
Yeah. Get back up, do it again.
You may
Okay.
not always
Now.
learn. Sometimes you do.
All right. So perseverance is a bit of that too. That's great. Now that I got that sorted out, let's ask Kevin, after Kevin accused me of having a loaded question, which we've quickly resolved. Let's ask Kevin's question, which is, Quinn, where would you like to go? Who do you want to be?
I am ready for wheels. I'm ready for them, if that makes sense. I don't know if I can do it, but I'm ready for wheels. This year's been actually kind of a shit year for me, even though I did the FD stuff and was very successful at that. I ended up squandering a lot of other opportunities this year. So I was supposed to be like, I wrote half a racing course for another track on an island here, but just wasn't feeling well enough to finish it. And I have a lot of like embarrassment with that. So I'm ready to do something that I can kind of do at home and get caught up with. I don't know. I'm just ready for wheels, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like you have a catalog of them.
All of the old designs that we need new. It's time for new. Yeah.
I haven't even seen the old ones come to fruition, but all right. I
get that too. I mean, it's like if you've been staring at something you created 10 years ago that never came to fruition, and now all of a sudden you have the ability to make something to come to fruition. Maybe you've learned some things in those 10 years, or like that feels stagnant to you.
Yeah, you've tried some things, failed, persevered, and now
there's two wheels. The two main wheels that I focused on, I still want to do those to be fair, but there's a huge catalog of other like just design experiments that I look back on and I really dislike most of them. But they were there to kind of like, how do I word this? They're all done in SolidWorks. I had to teach myself SolidWorks. So I again brute forced it. I stole an ex-girlfriend's college, like her ID, and broke into local college because I couldn't get a computer to run SolidWorks. And so I taught myself on SolidWorks on the local, like at Camosun College at night. And then I just kept drawing wheels. And like you'd have the vision in your head and you'd have the vision that you kind of like,
were able to create.
Yeah. And eventually the more I drew, the closer they came together. And so now I'm at that point where I can sort of most of the time draw what's in my head. But so most of the back catalog is things that didn't quite achieve what I was dreaming or envisioning.
Yeah.
All right.
It makes sense.
That makes
you start drawing stick figures, and it's not portraits.
Yeah.
But that's what's in your head.
Yes, 100%.
Now we're moving on to the Sistine Chapel. I like that. Okay, that's good. Man,
we're doing wheels soon too.
Oh, okay. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
We're doing full CNC faces though. We hate sand catch.
There's nothing wrong.
We're only doing 18s and we're only doing 5 luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, those two last ones are true.
Yeah, are probably true. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But no, we're not. I'm not seeing the wheels. They're not like, everyone's like, even Alex is like, oh, you should just make centers and this and that. And I'm like, dude, I don't want to make expensive wheels. I don't want. I mean, as much as I like 3-piece wheels and shit, like I want to make money and I want to have. I like cool 1-piece wheels. Like I think there aren't enough cool 1-piece wheels. And to be honest, like a lot of times 1-piece wheels on these cars like could look better than 3-piece wheels. They have like a different vibe, you know what I mean? And I want to start out with stuff that I could sell to everybody. Not everybody can access 3-piece wheels. Like they're just And then also I don't really believe in the whole like I'm going to make centers and then you could just order them with whatever fucking size you want. Cause it's a bit too complicated for like a larger market. Like if it's a very, very niche market, that's totally cool. Maybe later on we'll get into that. But like, we just want to make wheels that are sort of like an NTO3 or something, like not as far as like the style, just as far as like accessible and quality wise, something that would be like that. So that's kind of what maybe I want to do 3 styles.
Hell yeah.
And have cool sizes.
I'm told the Enki RPF 01 are Canadian designed by a guy in Toronto, but I don't. I have no way of confirming that. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's weird how popular those wheels are. I mean, maybe it's because it's a good wheel for not a lot of money, but like they're not like really great looking wheels.
They're not the best, but they sort of just hit that right mark where they're a good weight, they're a good price, and they're
just
okay.
good enough looking.
They can look good.
Yes.
They can look good, but they don't like. If you look up RPF1 or RPO1 or RP whatever the fuck wheel you're talking about, the twin spoke 6 whatever.
Yeah.
95% of those pictures are gonna look like shit. And then you'll find 5%, you're like, hey, that's pretty cool. It's like an 18 by 10.5 with like a 235 on it, and it's slammed and like, you know, it like could look cool.
One thing I will say is like, I feel that wheel like has like a lot of like motorsports heritage, and that's what has made it popular because people have seen it on those cars, and then they're like, oh, I could just have it too, you know?
Yeah.
But also to me, it's like, I don't know, like do something with it maybe, or like advance it, or like, I don't know.
People
like,
are buying it. They don't need to.
Yeah. Why do you need to? Like, why make Coke Zero when you already have Coke, you know?
Exactly. Sprite Remix. Do you remember Sprite Remix?
It's weird too, because like
I'm still on Orbits, dude.
Orbits. We've definitely talked about that.
When Enki came out with all the new wheels, like the RRs, like I don't think they're that popular, man. Like I had the RP, that was dope. RS05 RRs, like those are sick. And then I don't know, like people just don't jam with them. And then they have the NT03 RRs. I mean,
that to me is not the nicest wheel, but
but I mean, it's like people just. Like, I guess my thing is like if you're gonna have an Enki, you can have an RP F1 or an NTO RS05RR, which are in the same exact size. And like the only thing is, I think they're more expensive. The RRs are like the deep concave ones are all like my wheels are fucking super expensive. And I think that now because they've made that RPF1 or whatever the fuck it is for 18,000 years, it's actually a pretty cheap wheel. Yeah, and it's the same quality as the RR, so maybe it's like, you know,
what's the gain for buying the more expensive wheel?
The sick look,
style.
Fucking barrier of entry is
I don't know if when I had those, I actually got the faces machined because I think they're just silver, which is like it's kind of cool, but like just an entirely plain silver sports wheel is not really that great. So I got the faces machined and then they clear coated them again. Cost an additional $600, but like,
hell yeah,
I thought it was worth it. But like in hindsight, I'm like, didn't really look that different.
Yeah, maybe like 1% people.
Yeah, 1% of the people would notice the difference and think it was cool because in certain lights,
because nobody would even know that it doesn't. It's like I have those CR Lies, and it's like everyone thinks they're CR Kais, and like everyone's like, "Oh man, I love them. They're so sick." And it's just like nobody knows that it didn't come in that finish. Yeah. Like that finish work never offered, but it's like, does anybody know that? No. Like,
I think some people know that, but like it's funny because if work offered that finish, like in my opinion, it looks better than fucking white or like.
Why would you say that? Why would you say anyway? Go on.
I just don't know.
I think the white is the best option for Ryan.
I think white for your car, it's fully sick. But I mean, imagine the cut polished ones on your car if they were 19s and they were actually real.
Yeah.
I think it's just like a more refined look, less sporty. But I don't know why like manufacturers can't make wheels in silver. Because it also with work they had the new Emotions, the M8Rs. There was a mesh. You know, all the Emotion wheels are the same face; they just have different spoke styles. So they came out with that M8R, and I was like, okay, I want a one-piece wheel for the Blit. The M8R is perfect. It's a mesh. It's kind of deep concave. It's silver. I was like, okay, cool. Hyper silver. Just want super low key. They didn't make the silver in 18, only 19. So it was only like. Basically like hyper black or satin black or some garbage, and then they fucking had like bronze and like some other ugly ass colors. It's like, why can't they just make silver wheels? I don't understand.
I think the push against silver wheels is that's the stock color most OEM wheels come in.
Yeah, maybe.
And so it's automatically a sign that the wheel is different when it's not that color.
It's true.
Yeah.
Different is not always better.
It's true. But I think
Yeah.
that's the push for that, is that people want a finish that's not OEM looking.
Well,
Yeah,
maybe
looks like a
now they can
hubcap.
make silver wheels because a lot of the new OEM wheels are gunmetal or raw. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you get a TRD Camry and it comes with these fucking ugly ass like black wheels. It's like, no.
Oh, the old school Koenigs where they're black with the machined highlights. All the new cars seem to be like 10 years behind.
But I mean,
on
they
that.
kind of look good. Like all the BMW ones, they look really good. Like they do it in a classy manner. Whereas, but I do know what you mean. Some of the new cars that like have that black machine finish, like,
BMWs make them look good because they're one of the factory cars that actually come with good fitment stock.
exactly.
Always,
So
always
it's
have
like
too.
fitment versus like design equals like there's like a weird.
But the other thing is like
there.
the BMW wheel was always like the best wheel to put on other cars.
Yeah.
Even with a spacer, you could put it on and it would look a conversion spacer. It looks
And honestly, like a 21 by like 11 and a half plus fucking 20 stock wheel is ridiculous. Like,
It's intimidating. That's a very intimidating wheel. Yeah.
yeah. And like they have crazy sizes.
Quinn of Speed Hero, when you do build your wheels, I'm putting that out there in the universe. What sizing will you do? What's the focus going to be for? What chassis?
The goal is little wheels. So the original plan was 13 through 16s. I really like 16s.
16s, yeah.
I really like 16s, and if they're so slept on, it's weird. Everybody else
16's like a perfect.
Can you
size.
still get the tire though? It feels like the 16
That's
tire.
not my
is
fault.
Like,
That's not my problem.
Tires are very different.
Not
for
my
16s.
circus. Not
Yeah.
my.
yeah, but you're gonna make wheels for 16s and no one can buy a tire, then you're not gonna sell a wheel.
It's true. Yeah. The original design that I did with the Australian company, we had two face sizes. So we had a small face and a big face. And so the small face did 13, 14 and the big face did 15, 16.
Nice.
And that was
So were the 15s reverse and the 16 step then, or were they just both?
One was a double step. I'm
okay.
not super stoked on the double step, and I don't know. In future though, I'd like to start with 14s. There is 14s exist out there, but there's nothing I like. So I don't want to sell a lot of wheels. I want to sell a couple of wheels to the right people, rather than sell a lot of wheels to just randos. So yeah.
Again, that whole
16s,
not
man.
making money is
It's never about money. It's about making. I would love
it's
for my
about setting an example. You're
not even.
Well, you know what it really sounds like? It sounds like you need to just sandcast the wheels yourself.
Just learn how to sandcast, man.
Yeah.
I've spent we've been doing lots of research. So most of the stuff I make, I try to make it so that it is worth more used than new. I would rather sell something really cheap and then later on people are like, oh man, I really wish I would have got that. And then they fight over it. That's awesome to me.
The cool thing would be if you sold some wheels, then you could make the right wheels that you wanted to make because you had the money to do so.
Are you my roommate? Because he tells me the same thing. Yeah.
Well, Gerard's
you
a
have to like
businessman.
money a little bit so that you can make the things that you really
You
like.
want to make, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've had this struggle for a very long time. I've definitely heard that a lot, and you're right. And I don't know how to do that.
The whole liking money part is the problem of this equation. It's just
SerialNine is that story. I'll tell you.
Well, I mean, the thing is like once you make the money, you could just spend it as fast as you want on stupid shit that'll help you make more shit.
That's fair. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You just be breeding shit that's out of your mind all the time and never have $1 in the bank account still. Though.
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff that I've made little prototypes for and stuff like that never came to fruition. So yeah, I hear you.
Also, Quinn, I don't like you pitch the Supreme model. It sounds like it's like I sell a t-shirt for $38 and then people turn around and sell it for $168.
Sure.
I want you to have a little bit of money though to do more cool shit. You know,
So,
like I'm
yeah, exactly. We all want to see you do the cool shit. We don't
I want to see
other chumps making money off your hard work.
But
To be
I
fair-
get your approach. I get your approach because then it's cool and then you want it. And then, yeah, it's good. Go on.
If you ever look through the products on my site, there's not a lot on there. There used to be more, but there's like little sort of tags on every one of them. It either says bread and butter or limited or super limited. I kind of made my inventory off of how people sell cars. You sell the Toyota Corolla, you sell the Volkswagen Golf, you sell the base car like the Hyundai Accent as your bread and butter car. That's your I sell a really cheap car for a decent profit, and it's a good car. But then you have your halo car. You have your Lexus LFA on top of that, where you don't plan on selling a lot of them. And so I sort of follow that model where I have bread and butter like t-shirts, I have bread and butter stickers, and then there's the rare stuff as well.
Man, so if I'm going to go to your website and buy a shirt, now I'm worried I'm going to buy the Toyota Camry of your shirts.
Well, what's wrong with that? Camry's an amazing
I do
car.
like
It's gonna,
it. Well,
it's going to be the
hang on.
best shirt you've ever owned.
Like
Right?
I'm literally
It'll
wearing a
last me
bread and butter
forever.
shirt now. Yeah.
And the one thing we all agree on this podcast all the time is that Camrys are fucking dope. But yeah, all right.
I'm mad about that. I don't know if I have a question to you guys, and this is a test of your observations. What is the most American car? There's a right answer to this.
Oh, well, I'm not good at right or wrong answers. I do philosophical.
I'll give some more. It's the right. How do I word this? It's the only car that you can consistently buy from most manufacturers only in North America. Most of the rest of the world doesn't have it.
Is it a pickup truck?
No. Well, that's a side thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's pretty true. But yeah.
Look at me being logical.
That's logical.
Go on.
Well, I was already gonna try to pick a specific brand and model of vehicle to the most American.
This is a
it sounds like
specification.
it sounds like you're talking about a specific a type of vehicle.
Yeah.
Is it an SUV?
I'm not sure.
SUV could be that. No, it's V6 front wheel drive automatic sedan. Nowhere else in the world really sells V6 front wheel drive automatic sedans, and that's why we never got like Crest, or like we never got the JZX 100s and all that stuff. Like we never got the cool shit because Americans don't buy rear wheel drive cars. They love front wheel drive V6 sedans. They buy, that's the most sold car, not truck, but car in like the Camry, the Accord, all of that. Like,
yeah.
The
Malibu,
Taurus, all
the fucking ghoulies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even like the Impala, they brought it back, and they brought it back front wheel drive V6
and the Monte Carlo.
Yeah. They love that for some. I don't get it. I don't understand it, but it screws us out. Because I was thinking about this. They sold like the Camry with a 3-liter. It looks identical to a JZX 90. Like, like why didn't we get that? Because it's not. The best part, like if you go down to Australia in the 90s, they sold V8 and V6 rear wheel drive versions of the front wheel drive version cars that we got here. Like a Cutlass, they sold Cutlasses or similar look, almost identical looking cars down there, but V6 rear wheel drive instead.
What's the Capri? It's like a 4-door Fox body or whatever. What's that?
The Capri, the Mercury Capri?
Is it maybe a Caprice? I don't know. Elio sent me one. And I was like, yo, what is that? And then Dustin was like, that's like a 4-door Fox body. And I was like, yo, that's amazing.
Oh, you're thinking about like a Ford Fairmont.
Maybe.
Or
I don't
a
know.
Ford Zephyr or a Ford
dude, that's a Mercury. I own my Mercury Zephyr was my first car. That is a Fox body. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it has an inline 6. And it's
so are the Fox bodies.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Additionally, though, the doors are so similar that you can actually bolt the Fox body Mustang onto the front of the Zephyr. It lines up with the doors and everything.
No way. Oh
yeah,
God.
there's people have made Fox body wagons.
Full circle makes so much sense why I love that car now.
Yeah, Kevin, this whole time you're like, I want a Fox body.
I know.
And you had a Fox dream you already had.
Exactly.
You can if you do up the lookups on the internet and you do Google like Fox body wagon, you'll see people have done the Mustang nose conversion on those.
Oh my God.
I believe that's what you call poetic justice. Is what that I don't actually know what you call it.
Yeah.
All right. I feel like we've capitalized on much of Quinn's time, and I feel like we could keep going forever. So before we wrap this up, Does anyone have any last thoughts, commentaries, things we've learned along the way? Gerard loves birds now, I've learned.
Well, I just wanna bring up-
Bird.
Yeah.
We just gotta start penciling in Speed Hero 2 here.
Yeah, all right.
The
good.
re-speeding.
The re-speeding. Perfect.
It's a bus that won't stop.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, okay. I think that is a pretty solid place to stop. Hey Quinn, thanks for
Hi.
coming out and talking to us. I really
you
appreciate
for
it.
Thank you
having me.
very much.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
appreciate
It
it.
was
Thank you so
great.
much. I'm very honored to be on here. Thank you so much.
That's
You
awesome.
didn't even stop mid-sentence.
I could if you'd like. Yeah. I
mean,
actually lost track of time, to be fair, but yeah.
We got you going. You get a car guy going, and they won't stop on it. And yeah, now I got to be the one that stops it, which is unfortunate. I'd keep going, but yeah. All right. Well, again, thank you so much for coming out and sharing all these amazing stories with us. For anyone listening that has missed it, in case you have missed it, it's Speed Hero. Go visit Speed Hero. Buy bread and butter t-shirts, or
Please do.
buy the Halo LFA. Is that the scented candles right now? What's the Halo item on this side right
I
now?
don't have one up right now.
You have scented candles?
These are racing candles. That's what this specific. This is the bread and butter shirt.
Do they smell like rubber?
They could if you do a burnout in it, wearing it. Yeah,
I mean,
that's an. Please, if you're on Instagram, send me
I do
pictures of you doing
frequently
burnouts
do a burnout.
in my
Oh,
shirts. Yeah.
My man. Perfect. Cool. But yeah, visit Quinn's site, check it out. He's obviously not going to toot his own horn, but seems like Quinn is a very key person in the not even Western drifting, just drift community. So
Drifting everywhere.
The world of
Everywhere.
drifting.
The world of drift.
I like car.
To Quinn.
Yeah. So
Pray
again,
to Quinn, Speed Hero over drifting.
I'm good to end it there, and that is all. If you're listening to this before the holidays, happy holidays. If not, happy New Year, I guess. Or if you just listen to this years from now, congratulations. Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Well,
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Invest in Dollarama. If you're listening to this in the future and you didn't buy Dollarama stocks, sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
I just buy Dollarama stuff. So is that the
Yeah,
same?
that's just kind of.
Okay,
All right.
guys. Peace
Thank
out.
you.
Thank you again,
Thanks,
man.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Serial Podcast 9. Thanks for listening to Serial Podcast 9.